All right, what's up, guys? I think we're good to go here. And we got a freaking bug in here already. No. No, I'm going to have a gnat flying around my face this whole stream. Oh, tragic. Okay. Anyways, we got whiskey to drink tonight. I'm very excited about tonight's live stream. This is the first stream that I've done back since I was in Buffalo. I guess that was 2 weeks ago. The time is flying. And I missed last week's live stream. I was going to trade spots with Matt Porter, and I don't think he ended up using the Thursday night. I thought he was going to use it, and I really couldn't have done it anyways. I had a really stressful week last week at work. A big part for me to play in the orchestra last week, so I was stressed out through the weekend. I thought I was going to make the stream up, didn't do it. So this is the first stream back since Buffalo, so if you hear or see anything weird, let me know. My little sister, which is weird to say because she's in her 20s, borrowed my camera last week, so the settings were all wacky when I got them back. Just a couple of them, so I changed it. So yeah, just let me know if anything looks or sounds weird, and I'll get it fixed, I promise. Which reminds me, I should do one final check. Of course. Looked like the audio was coming through the AirPods. So let me know if the audio just shifted over to this microphone. That should have happened. Sorry about that. Good Lord. All right, I'm going to kick things off. As we get some more folks in here, I'll tell you what we're doing. You can see the giveaway banner scrolling at the bottom. We'll talk about that in a second. But I am going to kill off a bottle, and it's not often I get to kill bottles because I'm one of those people that doesn't... I'll drink it down to here and let it sit for years. All right, so we're going to get rid of this Eagle Rare store pick once and for all, and I actually have a backup of this pick, so I shouldn't have nursed this thing the way I did. But alas, here we are, right? So anyways, I'm going to say cheers to all of you. Let me know what you're sipping on. I will get to the chat in just a second. Please hit that like button as you make your way in here tonight. And for those of you coming in, I did just drop a C923 Larceny review like an hour and a half ago. Kind of stupid timing on my part, but let's just see. Let's just see how the video does. If it tanks, I'll take responsibility for that. Cheers, guys. Let's have a good night. I'm in a good mood. You know, I'm not super stressed out. I have the week off of work. It's not one of our show weeks this week, so it's just like admin work for me, so that's nice. Cheers, guys. Okay. So is audio all good now? Check. Yeah, it looks like it's coming through this mic and not my AirPods. I'm sure the AirPod audio sounded terrible. Joe Dickinson says, let's go. We are going, good sir. What's up, Joe? Sugar Kitty, good to see ya. See David Babcock. Amy Bohm's here. Paul P. Bourbon Retriever. Darrell, what's up, man? Joe the Sample Guy. Cheers, y'all. I think the fruit fly in my glass like the very old Barton 100 for a moment. Did you say that before or after the gnat in this room? Because if it was before, that's kind of funny. Oh, look who's here. Nancy Fraley. Now the pressure's on. I'm super excited to see Cam's review. Currently working at Wyoming Whiskey. I did see that on your Instagram. Finishing up this year's blending season. Tomorrow will be my last day as our master blender. Wow, Nancy. Onward and upward, I guess. Well, that's awesome. A 9-year tenure. That's not a small thing. So congrats on that, Nancy. I'll say cheers. Little Eagle Rare for you. Nancy, I'm sorry, I still have not tried any of your creations of Wyoming whiskey. I don't know how I've gone this long without trying them, so one day. Paul P. Not mincing words. Last day at Wyoming? Well, that's concerning for them. That's funny. No, I'm sure Nancy, left him in good hands. All right, what's up, Jay? Good to see you. And I see Clay. All right, speaking of Copper Wolf, I just want to shout you out publicly, man. Thank you for sending these Found North samples my way. I did pull them. I don't know if I'll get to them tonight. I am going to make it a point to get to them on some sort of stream, whether it's here or Patreon. I'll figure it out. But I've got some Found North comparisons to do, which I'm excited about because people are, saying that they have preferences for some of these batches, and I didn't particularly care for batch 7, but okay. Let's see. Michael S., what is up? Good evening, all you wonderful whiskey folk. Already canvassing bugs even before drinking. Okay, I'm going to keep scrolling, guys. I see some good conversations going on here. Michael, if the video and audio aren't matching, refresh the page. I think when I flip the mic over, there could be an issue. If it's on my end, then... Here, let's try this. All right. I jump back in. Let's see if that helps. But refresh the page and see if that helps. Let me know. Oh, nice. David found a batch 191 recently. That is one of the batches from this release, I believe, which is very cool. Mine's 193. Says, can't stay long. I'm traveling for work. Hope y'all having a good week. Likewise, David. Just bought my first Knob 9. I always drink it away from home, but I've never bought it. That's funny. Bob is drinking some Corset Whips and whiskey. All right, guys. Yes, Clay, thank you. Everybody hit that like button. And Jay says sound and audio, sound and video are good. Great. Copper Wolf, thank you so much, man. Copper Wolf 87 got you in for 4 entries. We'll talk about the giveaway here in just a second. But I appreciate it, man, for sending these and for supporting with the super chat. That's awesome. So, tonight's stream, I realized I forgot to pull 2 bottles. The Knob Creek 18s that I want to compare. So if you were here 2 weeks ago for my stream from the hotel in Buffalo, you know that I already reviewed the Knob Creek, or I didn't. I don't want to say review. I mean, I gave some first impressions of the Knob Creek 18 Batch 2. And the fact is, seems to be a lot of this stuff going around in Ohio. Apparently, the Batch 2 sat on shelves for quite a while at $170, which is, it's less than $10 a year for an 18-year-old bourbon. It's a good sign for all whiskey enthusiasts that we're seeing some bigger releases. We're seeing not really the decline that we all expected in aged whiskey. I think we may have been there last year, the year before, and there was some scarcity. There were worries, all that kind of stuff. But now it's seeming like we're kind of bouncing back. And although there's no way that they could have accounted for COVID and then the boom that happened with whiskey, maybe they weren't, maybe year to year, everybody's just distilling more, laying down more barrels, and that's what we're seeing now. Last year was kind of rough for bourbon, in my opinion. I don't know. I guess I would lump all American whiskey together in this assertion, but I don't know. Last year was kind of rough. This year, we're seeing like a lot of releases, a lot of great releases, high age statements, just quality whiskey. So I think it bodes well. If we're using this year as an example, as an improvement over the last year or maybe last 2 years, it's a good sign, and that's exciting. So that's kind of like a preface or maybe just an aside as it relates to these Knob Creek 18s. But I do want to compare Batch 1 to Batch 2. Clearly, Batch 1 year's worth of air in the bottle and not a lot of whiskey left. So that is a good data point. Both at 100 proof. I liked Batch 2. I think, to memory, it has some of the same issues as Batch 1. A little low on the proof, a little heavy on the oak. What are you going to do when you have the Hardin's Creek line, slightly younger, but much more balanced in terms of the oak profile, and at a higher price? It's a little bit more of a premium product. It makes sense. The kind of tiers of these Jim Beam products are making a lot of sense to me, and I'm not offended by the pricing. I'm not offended by the scarcity, and frankly, I'm not even offended by the secondary value markup. I'm not offended by that with these high Knob Creek products, these high age ones, because it's not that bad compared to like Buffalo Trace or even Heaven Hill MGP. Those things are, you get up in $1,000 plus range. So there you go. Little kind of spiel on that. So we're going to do this Knob Creek comparison tonight. I have a bottle from a company that I've never owned a bottle from, which is Forgate. I had the opportunity over the last 2 years at the Bourbon Junkie Pours in the Park event to taste a lot of Forgate products because of Blake. If you guys were there, if you guys happened upon that room, over at the other hotel. You know what I'm talking about. I think every single Four Gate release was in that room for the bottle share the last 2 years, including my favorite Four Gate product and one of my favorite products I've ever had, just for the backstory and just how cool and rare it is the Eagle Thief bottle from Four Gate. So shout out to Blake, shout out to Chris, Chris Luddig. Just, these are just awesome people, you know, at these different bottle shares. Chris obviously associated with Four Gate to some extent, but I saw people talking about the Kelvin 60, and I decided, let's finally jump on a Four Gate bottle. Let's see what this is all about. I don't like a lot of double-barreled stuff, but I'm in kind of a good mood towards them because 13th Colony Double Oak completely rocked my world. So I took a chance on this, and we will get into that tonight. I'm really looking forward to it. Clearly, I have had a sip of this, but if you see bottles tonight, like even the Magnus, the Drummer's Dram that we're going to talk about in a second, the only reason this bottle's down is because I poured out a fat sample of it earlier today. I haven't tasted this thing yet, so we're going to get into it. And last but not least, in terms of actual bottles that I know I want to get into tonight before the shenanigans start and we do a blind flight, you know, and things go off the rails as they normally do because I don't have work tomorrow, so, you know, we're going to go deep. I have a few things that Still Austin sent my way. So I know Nancy's in here, which is awesome. And I don't think Nancy really has anything to do with the PR, the marketing side of Still Austin, although perhaps. But usually these are other folks taking care of it. I was surprised to get an email from Still Austin. Surprised and thankful that they were willing to send some things my way. You never know if you're going to get samples or if you're going to get bottles. But they sent 3 bottles and a rocks glass. You know, very, very grateful. So this is the Artist, which is their low-proof rye whiskey. Not really low, 99.6. Solid. And then this is the cask strength rye whiskey. And one that I'm just going to go ahead and tell you that I love. I took this to a bottle share on Monday night. This is the Bottled in Bond High Rye Bourbon. So at least 4 years old, 100 proof, horse on the front. This is a great bottle. So we're going to taste all these things tonight. And then I have some choices of I have like 3 blind flights to do. I can probably only do one of those tonight. And maybe I'll run a randomizer or, you know, ask Siri to pick a number between 1 and 3. Because I have 2 from Amy. 1 just arrived, and I don't know what it is. I have a sneaking suspicion that they are different Elijah Craig barrel proof batches because I've been running my mouth saying I could possibly call batches. So that might be what showed up. I have 1 from my friend Ashton, who sent me this blind. And then I have another one from Amy from about a month ago that I need to get into. So we'll figure that out when we get there, but we got to taste some whiskey before we do. So thank you for letting me monologue. I'm going to finish this Eagle Rare store pick here. Nancy. No, I don't have anything to do with the marketing or PR, God forbid, but I did blend all those Still Austin bottles you have. Awesome. Finally, the last thing, the one thing I missed, and the star of the freaking show tonight. Guys, Nancy Fraley, who is in here right now, who, if you don't know her, you're about to know her. She blends for so many people, as you've heard, Still Austin, Wyoming whiskey, Magnus, among others. And I'm just going to pull this up here. Cigar Blend, Magnus, batch 193. I will share my screen with you and show you guys this because it's one of the coolest moments of the channel's history, you know. And it, you know, I didn't have anything to do with the blending of this, but it's still a cool moment. So here we go. Let me show you. Here we go. So if you ever have owned a bottle of Cigar Blend and you've looked up tasting notes for it, you've probably come across this part of the Magnus website where Nancy puts together the tasting notes for these various batches. And typically at the beginning here, you know, some of these runs will have an overarching theme or title. Not per batch, those exist as well. Those are like subtitles, essentially, but a larger title to group them together. And this one is called the With a Little Help from My Friends Batches. And if you scroll down to batch number 193, you'll see that this one is called a Drummer's Dram. And this one is named, as you can see here, named for the channel Drums and Drams. This is a really cool moment for me, just personally. You know, is it a little silly to some degree because I didn't actually blend this? Sure. But is it really, really cool and badass and I'm excited? Also, yes. So thank you, Nancy, for choosing to name this after the channel. And of course, there are so many other folks in here from Instagram and WhiskeyTube and other places. Pop 'em, don't watch 'em. We've got Rick House Rock, 2 Bros, 1 Bottle. So another local, David McAllister, 21090, batch 190, etc., etc. So the giveaway for tonight, I took it upon myself to acquire quite a few of these bottles. So I've got 4 of them, 3 unopened. I didn't expect to get 4. I only thought I was going to get 2. And I didn't think I would be able to do a giveaway because I thought they might be hard to come by. I got a little help from my friends, just like Nancy, and some of these folks sent these to me at cost, which is very cool, and we're going to give one away tonight. I will taste it and review it in just a little bit on the stream, but that's what you're playing for. That is the first prize. Every $5 gets you 1 entry to that giveaway for the randomizer at the end. Batch 193 coming in at 56.9% ABV. And then the second place winner tonight's going to get some samples, including a 2-ounce sample of this, 2-ounce sample of the Four Gate, all the Still Austins, Knob Creek 18, batch 2. So we'll do like some 2-ounce samples for those folks of, I think, 6 or 7 bottles from tonight. So that's what we're playing for. And now let's taste some freaking whiskey. All right. What to do first after that Eagle Rare? What to do first? I want to go up in proof. Seems kind of odd to start with the Knob Creeks, but they are. Well, let's go to the Still Austins first. Let's go to the low proof rye whiskey to get things started here. And I do see Amy in here. Oh, and she is. Thank you, Amy, for tracking the super chats. I appreciate it. Guys, if you want to super chat directly, you can always do that. PayPal, Venmo. Information for that is in the description of this video. Don't put the words raffle in there, you know? Just leave that word out. But, you know, put your message in there for sure. Or anything drum related. Cool. David Babcock, thank you for the super chat, man. He says, yeah, for going off the rails. You know that's what we do. That's what we do here. David, Still Austin is coming in hot this year. Love the cask strength picks. I haven't had too many of these picks, to be honest with you. But, you know, the blended products are so damn good that, I mean, not that I don't want to try a pick, but they're so tried and true. It's not like one of those things where I think you're going to get, you probably will get some remarkable barrels, but it's just a testament to Nancy's blending, you know, with Still Austin, that their standard releases are just so good that you don't have to think like, man, I really need to get a pick so I can get a quality product. Shut up, Jay. Shut up, Jay. Andrew says, picked up Cigar Blend batch 128 last week from a local packy. How the heck is it in the 190s right now? When is batch 128 from? Who knows, man? Darrell's going to pour some Nancy blend right now. Amy, thank you for the super chat. Such a cool honor to have a bottle named. And Toshi, good Lord, man. I just saw that come in. I'll get to that in a second. You are amazing, dude. Amy says, such a cool honor to have a bottle named for you. Cheers to Cam and Nancy. On the nose, so this is the 99.6 proof rye called The Artist from Still Austin. And just as a quick experiment, let's make sure the secondary camera's working here, because I'm going to need it later for... Let's see. Let's solo this. Yeah, I could turn the exposure up, but there you go. So you can see it here. I love the artwork on these bottles. This rye smells like Smarties a little bit. It's got this kind of candy sweet thing going on with it. Yeah, that's like the first thing that jumps out of the glass. So interestingly, there are some rye notes to it, almost like a lemon meringue. Or no, you know what? Like a key lime. Kind of like a key lime pie, but with a little bit of like minty. Yeah, something a little bit like mint leaf. Almost like mojito, you know? I'm like key lime pie, mojito, Smarties candy on this rye. Very different nose for me. But cool. And then kind of a little brioche note in there too, or something along those lines. I called this, I was talking about this on Stag 22B, which was kind of like a croissant out of the oven. This one's like kind of like a brioche type note. I'll say it's a very different rye whiskey for me. And when I think Texas whiskey, this is absolutely not what I think. My mind goes to like Garrison Brothers Balcones, which is heavy, syrupy, a little overdone for my taste most of the time. This is bright, lively, spritzy. Strangely enough, I want to make a mixed drink with this because of how lively and spritzy it is and that kind of Smarties candy note. Really nice. Nancy, what do you think? Am I crazy here with some of these notes? Anyone else try this one yet? All right, let's see. Will says, Cam, you got to coax Nancy on camera. It's always a party. I know. Will, I need to set up a stream with Nancy. I said I was going to do that like a month or two ago and email her, and I just, things got a little busy. Joe says, I just passed up buying your batch last week. That's okay, man. Actually, I mean, what are you doing? All right, here we go. Nancy says, the Texas rye that we use is very fruity, so you're absolutely spot on. I like it. It's very different, and I think what's interesting about it is kind of the vibe of Still Austin is this slightly hipster, Austin, Texas. The things that conjures to mind, that is the vibe of the distillery. And this flavor profile fits with that, which is kind of, there's a mass appeal to this whiskey. And I don't mean that in any derogatory or oversimplified way. Like, I really think this is a whiskey that non-whiskey drinkers could pick up and try this, and they would get into it. And that's besides the fact that it's a rye whiskey, which people typically shy away from, and it's at a proof above 80, So that's cool. Very cool. I don't need to beat a dead horse on this. I like this bottle. I don't know the price point, but this just goes to show that both of the lower proof expressions from Still Austin, the bourbon and the rye whiskey, are solid. I love the Musician, which is the standard lower proof bourbon. I did a review of that like 2 years ago, maybe. Really solid stuff. Same thing with the rye. And I'm not just saying this because they sent me these bottles. You guys know that I'm honest to a fault. I dig it. So let's get into the cast strength rye. Let's see how this one compares to the lower proof. Cast strength coming in at 116 proof, which I think might be the same as maybe it's 118 on the bourbon. But either way, 116 on the rye here. Nancy says the rye varietal is called Elbin, or Elbin. Huh. Interesting. Jay says around 50 for the rye, around 60 for the cast strength. Yeah, not bad. I mean, especially for, I don't know if Still Austin is still considered a craft distillery. I guess they probably are, right? Nate says, when I hear hipster, I don't think mass appeal. I guess you're right. I mean, maybe I shouldn't say hipster. Maybe I should just say hip is really more of the descriptor I'm going for. Austin Erickson, thank you for the super chat. Cheers, Cam. That's awesome on the Magnus Cigar Blend batch name. Glad to be back. Cheers, everyone, and cheers to Nancy for all that she does. I'm having a pour of my Magnus batch 111. Thank you, Austin. Cheers, man. Enjoy that 111 there. I was going to take a sip of this, but I want to get into the nose a little bit more. Thank you, Amy. Guys, hit that like button if you would not mind. Really helps the channel. Wow, I'll say this, on the nose between the lower proof rye and the cask strength, I might like the lower proof rye better. And I know we're all suckers for cask strength, high proof, high octane whiskey. We like maximal flavor. But there's something about when a whiskey is proofed to its like best point, you know? And 99.6 on this rye, I don't know if there's a reason for that number or if it's just where it felt like it sat the best. I like it. I actually think the nose on that one's a little bit more balanced. The cask strength starts to get a little bit of this, you could say Texas funk, but I don't mean it in the way of Garrison Brothers or Balcones. It's more of like an approachable dark fruit syrup kind of note to it. And a lot more cinnamon, actually. Whereas I feel like on the lower proof, I don't really get a lot of cinnamon. If I do, it's kind of like brighter, sweeter, candied type cinnamon. The 116 cask strength is more intense, more aromatic, more like standard Kentucky dark cinnamon notes that you might think of. Huh. Oh, the palate's great, though. Oh, yeah. Front to back. I like that. I like the balance on that. It feels like it might take off in the very beginning and kind of rip your face off, and then it doesn't. And I like the restraint to it. It hits you. You feel like it's going to accelerate. It only accelerates a little bit, and it kind of plateaus. And the finish now, as it lingers, is very long and flat. It's not a lot of ups and downs. So I like that. I like it. To me, it makes it feel more balanced because clearly the minute it hits your palate, it lets you know that it's a rye. You feel the spice big time. Big white pepper spice. There's a note in here. Sarah actually said it earlier today when we were talking about something, and I can't remember what it was. It's not like I was just reviewing Larceny C923. I just posted that review before this, and I was talking about how buttery that whiskey is. It's not buttery, but what? Oh, there's almost a little bit of like a Greek yogurt note to this. That's what it is. Because Sarah was eating Greek yogurt earlier, and it jogged my memory. Little Greek yogurt on this one. So I like the drinking experience of the cask strength. Probably better than the lower proof. But I like the nose of the lower proof better. And possibly overall I like the lower proof. Both very good. You're not going to go wrong with them at the price point. But they do each have something different to offer at their given proof. So very cool. And thank you to Still Austin for sending me those. I do want to do one last Still Austin product before we move on. And that is the High Rye Bourbon bottled in bond. And whenever someone says High Rye Bourbon, my brain always thinks about MGP. It thinks about the 36% rye mash bill. 60% corn, 36 rye, 4 barley. And that's one of my favorite bourbon mash bills. This is not quite as high on the rye content. Off the top of my head, I want to say it's 25. But I can't remember exactly. Either way, High Rye Bourbon, at least 4 years old, bottled in bond, released this fall. Yeah, we're going to get into this last one. Nancy says, at Still Austin, I have us using old cognac techniques of slow water reduction over about 6 months. And I remember reading about that, Nancy. We add a little water each month to the barrel, so it makes it taste a lot more gentle. And Old Fashioned Ways says, I am loving Still Austin Bottled in Bond. They are so great. And I guess, guys, I didn't realize that these were coming out. When I went to look this one up, I saw the red corn, and I saw some of the other Bottled in Bond varieties that are going to be hitting the market. And it did jog my memory that I had seen the red corn, but I guess I didn't realize that was Bottled in Bond and that they were going to do a series of them. The marketing for this stuff is great, by the way. If you look it up online and you see the 4 different colors for the 4 different Bottled in Bond seasonal releases, very good marketing. So kudos to whoever put that together. All right, I'm gonna keep scrolling here. There we go. Nancy says that particular proof was chosen because that's where the whiskey tends to like to sit if it's not cask strength. Awesome. I love that you didn't prescribe a proof to it, and instead you found the sweet spot. That's so much better, I feel like, than choosing a proof point because it aligns with the date your distillery opened, or some other thing like that, which can be cutesy, but maybe at the expense of the whiskey. Yeah, Andrew, you're right. Low proof Lost Monarch is better than the cask strength. I agree, and I like to see that happen. It's not like otherworldly to see it happen, but people typically are going to expect cask strength to always be better, and I'm here to say that's not the case, and I think it sounds like a lot of people agree with that, in their own different experiences. Okay, so Nancy says the Musician, which is the low-proof bourbon from Still Austin, is blended to be much more artisanal cognac-like, surrounded with finesse rather than a harsh, funky Texas whiskey. And that's why I love it. The funky Texas whiskeys only... when I like to drink them is when I'm outdoors, and there are a lot of other aromas in the air, especially if I'm in a highly smelly environment, whatever that is, around a fire, just somewhere that has a lot of scents. Which I don't have a lot of sense, haha. But I would like to have something more in your face, more aromatic, like a funky Texas whiskey. But that's usually it. Oh, there we go. This high rye bourbon we're about to taste is actually 5 years old, even though it's only required to be 4 from the Bottled Bond distinction. Tim Tam, I have no idea on the Knob Creek 18 to EC 18 comparison because I've never owned a bottle of Elijah Craig 18, unfortunately. So... okay, let's get into this final Still Austin pour. I'll probably shoot a review video for this bottle in particular. I don't know that I'll be able to get to all of these, but probably do this Bottled in Bond high rye bourbon. Oh, damn. The nose on this is awesome. And when this arrived on Monday, took it to a bottle share or just a friend's house, I guess, that night. And we opened it, we were like, holy crap, this is really good. I did not expect this. It smells... I hate to say it. There is an MGP element to this because of its very fruity nature. Now, this particular one, what I'm about to say is interesting because of what I picked up on the low-proof rye. I was talking about key lime pie. I was talking about Smarties candy. This high rye bourbon has a lot of grapefruit, tangerine. There's one more fruit that I mentioned to say. Oh, like melon, almost like melon notes to this. The grapefruit, tangerine, melon. Some of those brighter fruit notes. Citrus, which makes sense with a high rye content. But because of how fruity it is, and there's a certain way that the oak is coming across on this, which reminds me of MGP. You guys know what Kentucky bourbons and oak tend to give you. Obviously, that's different from distillery to distillery. Let's rule out Buffalo Trace, and let's kind of combine the Heaven Hill, Knob Creek. That kind of dark, funky rickhouse oak thing you get. And whereas MGP, I feel like the oakier it gets a little sweeter, but it gets a little earthier and maybe a bit more of like a syrupiness to the darker fruit notes. I kind of get that oak influence on this Still Austin high rye bourbon. So it's like adding depth to the fruit notes in the whiskey. Yeah. I can smell elements of the Musician in here. And like the standard bourbon, there's some element of that going on in this whiskey, but with these added lighter fruit notes and a little more depth on the bottom end from the oak. So very cool. And the name of the game on this is just balance. The nose is a little brighter, a little fruitier to me. The palate goes a bit darker. And the balance is insane from front to back. So This whiskey, I believe, is a bit more expensive. I think this is sitting around $80 SRP. I know that seems like a lot for a 5-year bottled in bond. The quality on this is the differentiator. So this is not going to look good on me because here I am recommending all 3 products that a distillery sent to me for free. I understand how that looks, but I'm not going to lie. I think for me, the ryes are in some ways tied. I'd probably honestly lean to the low proof if I had to pick one. So I would go, third favorite on the cast strength rye, second place on the low proof rye. This is an easy first place winner out of this group of 3 pours. This high rye bourbon whiskey, if you chose one of these, I would seek this one out, even though it's $80. Very, very good. Yes, okay, there we go, Nancy. Thank you for that. And that's right, 25% rye of that Elbin rye. 5% malt, 70% white corn, and they're all Texas grown. That's so cool. So cool. All right, guys, I got a few super chats that I got to get to. It's so good. I'm telling you. I mean, there are other things in here, too. I talked a lot about the fruit notes on the high rye bourbon. There are down the middle, more standard bourbon notes. There is a really nice caramel going on in here. I know, caramel. Everybody can say that. And kind of like a cherry cordial note, too. So... just checking in on the chat. All right, JG, thank you for the super chat, man. Appreciate it. $10 says whiskey cheers. And John Gresham says cheers, Cam. Thank you, John. Thank you, Jay. Cheers, guys. And JP, thanks for the content. Enjoy those amazing pours tonight. Knob Creek 18 is great. I think we're going to get to that one next, actually, JP. So thank you for that. It's tough. It's like, do we go up in proof or do we try to balance the oak profile as we go through the night? Because the Knob Creek 18 is probably going to be the oakiest thing that I drink this evening. But I think we'll do it next. And then after that, we are going to get into the star of the show, which is selfishly the star of the show. That's up to you guys, whatever you consider that to be. But this Magnus Cigar Blend batch. And I guess when I put this together tonight, I didn't think about Still Austin and the fact that Nancy blends those two. I actually didn't even think about it. So that's cool that she's here and we're able to taste those as well. Amy says Still Austin's putting out some amazing product. I have demolished every bottle I've ever gotten, holding a 210-90 pick because I don't trust myself. Nice. Okay. Oh, that's it. Last note on the high rye bourbon. Coffee. Little coffee. Lovely. Okay, let's do this Knob Creek comparison. And I'm now going to check in on the Venmo and PayPal super chats because we've had more than a few of those come in, and I just want to say thank you to everybody. One last thing. I don't know if I said this earlier. I think I said this. I don't know. I said it in my Instagram story maybe. All of the samples that I owe people and bottle giveaways and everything, all of the bottles have gone out. So if you haven't received it, it probably went out in the last 2 days and it's on its way to you. And then samples, I'm almost caught up on samples. And all of those at the very latest would go out on Monday, but I can't imagine it taking that long because I've got about half of them poured. The other half need to be poured. I just need to pack them. And tomorrow I have nothing else to do than to box things up. So that's going to be my day tomorrow to get this wrapped up and everything over the finish line. Every 2 or 3 months I have, a set of giveaways where I'm running behind. And this time it was just being out of town, coming back, and all that kind of stuff. So thank you for your patience, y'all. It's because I'm drinking Still Austin. What's up, Sandeep? Good to see you. And then Top Dog says the last time I won was the whole lineup of Cigar Magnus from you. Man, I forgot we did that. Okie dokie. Let's get into some highly aged Jim Beam bourbon. Well, those pours couldn't have been any fatter. I'm going to pour a little bit of that batch 1 back because I am running low. The last time, when I purchased this batch 1 last year, there's an annual convention that percussionists go to called PASIC, which is Percussive Arts Society International Convention. It's always in November, and I remember I had just purchased this Knob Creek 18, and it was pretty much full, and I took it out there, and this is essentially where it ended up after the week ended, or the weekend, really. It was only like 3 days. I think I brought like 20 bottles with me. I like to, if I'm driving to a hotel and I'm going to be around a bunch of people, I like to bring an entire inventory of bottles and glasses so I can have people hang out in the room and stuff like that. But yeah, we did some work. Everybody, even the non-whiskey drinkers, their pour of the weekend, everybody chose Knob Creek 18 over some things that you would consider to be better than them. They like this one. So just a testament to the kind of accessibility, I guess, for this one. William Hall says, got to try for the Magnus Cigar Blend for show. All right, man. Looks like Nancy. Amy. Looks like Amy's got you in the giveaway. Thank you, Amy. And now I want to catch up on these other super chats. So let's just blitz through these and say thank you to a lot of awesome people. Andrew Kelly, I see I got you in here for 2 on PayPal. It says, who can resist a Magnus Cigar Blend? I don't know a person that can resist it, actually. All right. On to the Venmo. We got Michael Schneider in for 4. Thank you, Michael. He says, fingers crossed, never had any cigar blends. Toshi, I hinted at this earlier, but here we go. Toshi is in for 20. A massive $100 super chat. Toshi, thank you, dude. I really appreciate that. That is incredible. And he said something earlier, and actually I should go back and put that on the screen before we get into this Knob Creek comparison. I don't think I put it on the screen, but I think I read it. So sorry, Toshi. There we go. Evening Cam, life has continued to be a bit crazy, so I haven't made it to a stream in a bit, and I told myself yesterday I must box your samples this weekend and send. Hope you've been good, buddy. Toshi, I am much better now. I had a super stressful week last week. Just kind of a big moment in one of our pieces we were playing in the orchestra, and I was nervous as hell all week. And actually went very well in the performances, which is good. Rehearsals were a little rough, didn't sound great. And I was very nervous because I'm in a probationary period of my job. After winning the audition, I have a 6.5-month probationary period. They could extend that. They could grant me tenure, which exists in orchestras, or they could fire me, basically. And so that period ends in January, and these big moments, you have to come through on them. And I felt like I did do that in the performances, even if the rehearsals were a little rough. But that's why you rehearse, What's up, Chris? PASIC 2023 live stream. Probably not, dude. It is a lot of work to take the lights, the cameras, and everything on the road. And I did it to the Pours in the Park over the summer in August. I did it in Buffalo 2 weeks ago. And when I do that and I get home and I come straight into a work week, this room, it's like a bomb went off. And I didn't touch anything in this room until like 2 days ago. Start cleaning up. And that's why I've been so behind on things. So maybe not. Oh, Nancy gets emails from PASIC. See, what a small world, huh? Jay, nerd is the acronym for the event. Listen to you, dude. All right, back to these super chats real quick. On Venmo, I got Mick Sibley in for 1. He says, would love to try the cigar blend. Thank you, Mick, for that super chat. Paul P in for 10. Paul, thank you so much, man. He says Magnus or bust. Fingers crossed for you guys. And Zach Butler in for 3. Thank you, Zach. $15 super chat. He says, for the fun. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And we got one more sneaking in here at the end before this comparison from Tim Evans on PayPal. Thank you, Tim. Got you in for 5. There we go. Thank you, guys. You are amazing. All right, here we go. Knob Creek Batch 1. Knob Creek 18, excuse me, batch 1. Before I say anything, I'm just going to do batch 2. Interesting. So let me start by telling you what stands out about each batch. I'll assume that some percentage of you watching, whether live or on the replay, have tried Knob Creek 18, and you, whether it's batch 1 or batch 2, and you generally understand the profile of what an 18-year-old Knob Creek is going to taste like. We'll start here. So the things that stand out to me on batch 1. A bunch of chocolate. It feels watery. It feels like... It smells like it's going to taste velvety. That's the best way I can describe it. Because it smells a little bit watery. And that was a complaint that I had about this one when I first reviewed it. And it's a complaint that many people have had on this. But like a velvety, cherry, chocolate kind of thing. Yes, tons of oak. But it's... The oak on here is very, like, it's not offensive. It feels smooth. It feels sweet. Yes, there's some leather funk, but overall smooth and sweet, and that's very nice. It's like batch 1 to me feels pleasant in the realm of Knob Creek 18 profile. Batch 2 feels much more aggressive, and by saying that right away, my brain goes to batch 1 has had a lot more air in the bottle and a year of it being open for it to kind of calm down. That could be the case. But batch 2 to me is a lot more baking spice forward. I can distinctly smell nutmeg in here. More ethanol, actually, on this. So for those of us who thought that it maybe needed a little more proof to it, I know it could be the air in the bottle or lack thereof with this one. This feels like a higher proof even though it's not. And then sweaty sock. Sometimes I call this note on older products. Little sweaty sock on Knob Creek batch 2. And more peanut on this one. So more round, sweet on batch 1. More spicy and aggressive. And a little sharper on batch 2. Interesting. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and taste batch 1 now. See what we get here. Wow. Batch 1, in terms of mouthfeel, this thing drinks like, what would be the best way to describe this? Like an Italian Cabernet. Like really, really tannic. Just dry as a bone. I actually just had this, not inexpensive, let's put it that way, red blend from Italy. I'd have to look up, majority Cabernet, some Petit Verdot in there, some Merlot, some Cab Franc. Ridiculous, though. So tannic. I just felt like this thing needs another 10, 15 years, before I would want to drink it. Fine in some circumstances, but definitely not up my alley. Anyways, batch 1. Here I am trying to pretend like I know what the hell I'm talking about with wine. Batch 1, Knob Creek 18, super tannic on the mouthfeel. It's like velvety in some ways, and then it turns, and it's just all tannin. Yeah, just no, like I love the nose on it, but the balance is way off on the palate. Scott, what's retail on not? Yeah, basically 170, 180 is what you're seeing it for. Oh, Clay, what's up, man? I knew you were here, but this is awesome. You don't know the definition of nerd until you go to high school marching band reunion, which I'm doing next weekend. That's cool, man. Have a good time. Nancy says, do you know if the Knob Creek 18 releases come from the same areas? I have no idea, Nancy. Not exactly sure what they're doing with these. And I don't know how much information they've put out about them with what's going on. If anybody in the chat knows, let us know. Bob Nichols, sorry that I missed this, man. Thank you for the $10 super chat. Cigar blend, sure. Now I need someone to recommend a good lower price cigar. I am not the one to... Bob, thank you for another $10 super chat. I hope you meant to do that. Either way, thank you. If anybody in the chat knows of some cigars that they could recommend, let Bob know. I'm not into cigars. I do not need another vice at this point. Yeah, JP, actually, what's funny is that this batch of cigar blend, the Drummer's Dram batch, was being distributed in Northern Ohio, which is cool. That's where people were sending me this from. So I want to thank real quick Ashton, who sent me this blind flight that, I don't know if I'll do this one tonight or one of Amy's, but Ashton hooked me up with one of these 193s, the one that I opened for the stream. So thank you, Ashton. And then like I said, I thought I was only going to get one more. Actually ended up getting 3 more. People messaged me on Facebook, and I was like, well, I better get a hold of these now, or else I probably never will. All right. Batch 2, Knob Creek 18. Much better. Much better, I think. Yes. And I don't think that's an air in the bottle thing. You know, yes, it does get tannic on the back end from a Jim Beam bourbon of this age. If it's not very carefully blended, like some of those Hardin's Creeks, which are still some, pretty tannic to some degree, but pretty tannic to some degree. Oxymoron. You still expect that from Knob Creek or Jim Beam products, but this one, it happens a lot later and a lot less severe than the batch 1, in my opinion. Much longer finish on this. Like right away, my recommendation would be pick up this batch 2. Not that you're probably still seeing batch 1 sitting anywhere, but for people that were letting this thing sit because they didn't really enjoy batch 1, I would say if you're in the business of buying $170 bottles of whiskey, and that's not the end of the world for you, it's not your once-a-month purchase, don't hesitate to pick this one up, because I do think it's better than batch 1. Yeah. That batch 1 is just wacky. A lot of cherry I'm getting on that. I'm telling you, a lot of cherry. Batch 2 is much spicier. More just... They're both super classic bourbon profiles, but I think batch 2 for me is even more so of that. All right. John Gresham says, I've got a Magnus Cigar batch 128. Just got past the neck, but I'm really not tasting anything spectacular yet, hoping it will open up in a few weeks. Yeah, John, I'm going to get to this one here in a second. I can't remember the one, and I know Nancy's here, but you guys know I'm always going to be honest with you. I want to say, Amy, the one that Amy sent me was batch 121, and I was not a big fan of batch 121. Now, look, Cigar Blend, and I think Nancy openly talks about this too, has gone through a lot of phases over the years. Like in the very, very beginning, I think most of it was highly aged MGP. Then that Barton component started to get thrown in the mix. I love those high percentage, high proof too, Barton components that were in there for many of those batches, between maybe 25-ish up to 90-something-ish. I love those batches. I think they're great. I still have a Freebird batch in the basement unopened. And then things shifted in the blend, and again, Nancy's the one to speak to this. Things shifted in the blend towards some more MGP again, and I think that's where we are today, although I believe there's still some Barton being blended in here. But the proofs dropped. The age dropped a little bit. And the batch that I have here that's the drummer's dram, I still have this pulled up. I can put it on the screen. At the top of it, it gives you kind of the breakdown. And here it says these batches are a blend of 9-year 36% MGP rye bourbon, 16-year-old Kentucky rye bourbon, which I presume is Barton, and 20-year-old MGP 36 rye bourbon. And Nancy, correct me if I'm wrong, but I can't imagine you have probably like a ton of that 20-year MGP 36 rye in there, although I don't want you to divulge your secrets. But, you know, financially, that probably doesn't make a lot of sense to throw a bunch of that in there. So, but for balance sake, I'm sure that plays a part too. Oh, interesting. Nancy says, I think there was some cross-contamination in the bottling lines around batch 128, unfortunately. I didn't find this out until after it was released. Interesting. Daniel says it was 131 you didn't like. Okay, that makes sense, Daniel. 121 or 131, yeah. Oh, Amy, that would be cool. If I could bring one of these bottles, because I am going to keep one unopened backup for myself and open it some point down the road in my life. That would be awesome if I run into Nancy and get her to sign it. So yeah, cross-contamination, interesting. Some of those things you never think about. You know, as a consumer, you don't think about things that could happen like that. Okay. But yeah, John, I think, over time, like there's been different, obviously they're all different blends in these various, batches and releases and stuff like that. But yeah, I really loved that period of the high Barton, percentage in the blends. I loved that stuff. And truthfully, I've not tasted a lot of those really, really early batches that people absolutely love, like with the high MGP percentages with the slightly lower proof, but I know that has like a cult following. I just wasn't, around at that time tasting them. So, okay. Yeah, there you go. Nancy says, no, there's not a lot of the 20-year, of course, but then again, a little of that goes a long way, I'm sure. Although, Nancy, it's like, I don't know that I've ever tasted an MGP bourbon that old. The Rebecca Creeks that I have are 16-year MGP, which is incredible stuff. A 20-year, I bet a 20-year MGP is pretty wild to taste, huh? Okay. So, anyways, Knob Creek, in terms of this stuff, batch 2 easily outplays batch 1. Yeah. All right. Let's keep it moving. I think we are caught up on all of that. Good. And here we go. Let's get into the cigar blend that everybody is playing for in the giveaway. And I can always pull out, I have a few open batches. I think a 73, a 61. I have a 73, a 61, and a 58 open right now behind me. 58 is the Darth Vader batch that people, are paying crazy money for on secondary. And it's really good. I don't think it's like twice as good or 3 times as good price-wise, you know what I mean, as some of the others. I do love it. But like my batch 73, I think is fantastic. Is it 73 or 83? No. 73. And then I think 77 maybe is the Freebird batch that I have in my basement unopened. Oh, Nancy. Whoa. I believe it was crossed with a ready-to-drink that had some kind of artificial peach flavor. Whoa. Oh, man. That sucks. Okay. Very interesting. So here we go. Batch 193, a drummer's dram at 56.9%. All right. So the first thing I'm getting here is I don't want to read the tasting notes. I'm going to put these away. I have them in front of me on my other screen. Okay, we clicked away. First thing I get on the nose. I'm going to go two directions. One, I can smell the 9-year MGP 36% rye bourbon. And I've talked about this on some of the other newer batches too. There's a distinct vanilla / buttercream note that I get on some of these 36 rye MGP bourbons between 7 and 9 years old. I can smell that on here, and that cuts through. In this case, this one smells a little bit more vanilla to me. So on that end of things, that it's like a brighter vanilla white pepper. But I am getting kind of like mid-range to somewhat dark, terrible descriptor, dried fruits on here. So I would go kind of like a dry caramelized orange type note. I would say that there's a little bit of like I would go fig on this. There's a little like maybe dried fig type note. Yes. Okay. I like the palate a lot. I like the palate a little bit more than I like the nose on this one. Yeah. The palate kind of blossoms. It's a little floral too on the nose, just a bit. Yeah, I would go what is bramble maybe the right word? I don't even know if I know what brambles even are. But that word came to my mind. What's bramble? I don't know. It's got this thing. It makes me say the word bramble, but I don't know if I know what that is. A little floral though. But the palate, I like the way this thing drinks on the palate. The nose to me is a little pointillistic in the notes. Like the notes are standing out in certain ways. Whereas the palate, it brings things together. Which is cool in the sense that you can dissect the nose and then move to the palate and it becomes more integrated. And there's a really nice spice that lingers on this thing. What am I getting here in the finish? I'm gonna have to keep thinking about it. Let's see what's going on in the chat here. Nancy says I started adding the Bartons at batch 15. That's actually earlier than I thought. Okay. So yeah, I really enjoy this. I think I am like you guys know I love the fact that this bottle is named a drummer's dram. To me is very, very special. Again, I'm not gonna lie to you guys. I really like those Barton heavy batches because I love aged Barton, you know. And I think in the blends, I feel like they took to the Armagnac finish so well, you know. They were a little heavy-handed sometimes in the fact that they just punched you in the teeth because the proof was so intense. But I like that about them. And to some degree, I am like preferential, but I'm also used to that profile for cigar blend, you know? Like when I came into drinking cigar blend, I basically came in at batch 24. And I thought that I had tasted some of those higher MGP percentage batches, but I guess I really came in when that Barton was being put in the mix. It may have increased over time from 24 to like 70, 80s, like some of the ones I had back there. But I am a little more, preferential to those profiles. But I do think this is a really solid bourbon. you know, and I'm excited to have this. I'm excited to give one away, all that kind of stuff. And it's awesome that Nancy's here to hang out as well. Nancy, I wanted to ask you, when you blend these things and you're tasting through them, like, do you remember batches off the top of your head, or did these things start to run together after a certain period of time? Like, if someone came up to you and said, hey, from this run, from the Get By With a Little Help from My Friends run, do you have one in your head that you liked more than the others, or do you just kind of, get through it and move on to the next thing? So JP mentioned, JP said something about an almond note. That's very interesting because I'm kind of getting an almond thing on here. I'm going to say it. Marzipan. Maybe marzipan, actually. I'm going to read Nancy's notes on this now. I'll put them on the screen. Put them back on the screen. I had them on the screen earlier, but I didn't even read them. Okay, here we go. The title of Cigar Blend Batch 193 comes from Magnus Cigar Batch naming contest winner Cameron Leach, professional percussionist. Super funky rhythm. I love that. The nose of this batch aromatically conjures up aromas of spicy carrot cake. Okay, I like that, Nancy. The carrot cake thing to me is that MGP component in here, that 36 rye, where I kind of get that vanilla or buttercream type thing. To me, that's like the cream cheese. It's like a cream cheese carrot cake type thing. I totally get that now. Oh, you said cream cheese icing. I swear I did not read that before I said that. I swear to God. Okay, there we go. Ginger snap cookies. That makes sense. Definitely makes sense with that kind of pepper, like crackle thing going on in here. Orangina. Oh, that's a very specific soda. But either way, a spritzy kind of orange note. I get it. I mentioned like a dried caramelized orange type thing. Aromatic pipe tobacco. I could see that. Apple pie with caramel topping. This is a little bit of lighter notes, which I am agreeing with, and I tend to get on this batch compared to maybe some of the darker chocolate notes from like those earlier ones. Brown baking spices such as Jamaican allspice, Madagascar cinnamon, and mace. That's out of my league, Nancy. I can't agree or disagree. Can neither confirm nor deny those. The palate beats out further grooving notes of warm pumpkin muffins, chocolate-covered candied orange slices, okay, salted butterscotch pudding and coffee cake with toasted walnuts and crumble topping with a dollop or two of French vanilla ice cream. So yeah, it's like painting a picture of this kind of aromatic cake note, whether it's carrot cake or this pumpkin pie, with something that cuts through it with either a vanilla ice cream or a cream cheese frosting or something like that. That's the idea, and that makes a lot of sense to me. Finish is medium long. Yep. Healthy dose of more waves of carrot cake and toasted nuts predominating. And I think some of that nuttiness surprisingly comes from probably the Armagnac cask a bit, and probably how that mingles with the MGP component, I would imagine. And then there we go. Master blender Nancy Fraley has also been an amateur rock drummer for 37 years and is thrilled to see a batch dedicated to her professional drummer friend Cameron. Thank you, Nancy. And to all drummers. Absolutely. There's so many drummers that like whiskey. And I gave one of those drummers today a sample of this. I was very excited. I love it. I love to be that I could give drummers, friends and drummers, samples of this and say, this is the drummer's dram. Okay. So this has been sitting out for a few minutes now. And it's improving drastically with air. I'm actually getting into a little bit of like a prune kind of note now on this as this has sat out. And this is something, this is a larger conversation, and I know I've mentioned it on the channel probably many times, and I'm sorry if you've heard this before. But if you have a finished whiskey or a toasted barrel whiskey, which is basically finished, that whiskey is going to change in the glass over 20 to 60 minutes. And not only that, it's going to change in the bottle dramatically. And let me pick up a whiskey that I wanted to mention tonight. I'm not going to taste it, but a whiskey that has changed. Excuse me, I got the bourbon acid reflux. This has changed dramatically in the bottle. And that is the darkest double oak whiskey probably ever created, 13th Colony. This whiskey, I've sampled this out so much now. I promise I haven't drank this much of it. Thankfully, I have a backup that I paid way too much for. This has changed dramatically and actually tastes kind of crafty now, for better or worse. When I first popped this thing open, there was no sense that this was a craft whiskey. Part of me, because it didn't say distilled by on the side, thought that this could be sourced. Like legally it could have been based on the nomenclature on the bottle. I thought it could have actually been MGP that was crazy double oaked. But the more this has opened up and the more I drink it, you can taste like a craft whiskey thing underneath. So that's interesting for me. I actually have to say that I enjoy it a little bit less now that it has opened up, but it's just a testament to the fact that a lot of these double oaked products and finished products will evolve. I find that finished whiskeys, whether bourbon or not, but let's stick with bourbon for now. I find that finished whiskeys tend to get better with time. And I think that's similar and, kind of in line with heavily sherried scotches, particularly like first fill sherry. I actually think they get better over time. They mellow a little bit. They integrate a little bit better. And I find right now, like here's the experiment. And I'm biased because I know which is which. It's not double blind. But let's pour a fresh pour of this out. Give it a quick swirl. Let it rest for just a second. It will coat the glass. So on your left is the one I've been drinking with air, and on your right is the one that I just freshly poured. So here's the one with air. Freshly poured. Yeah. Remarkably different. So these things need air. And how different is it? The freshly poured one, much more aggressive on the nose, significantly more white pepper influence. A little bit more stinging bright. The one that's been sitting out completely relaxes, smooths out, integrates, sweeter, a little darker even. So there you go. Whoever wins this bottle tonight, have a pour and let it sit 15, 20 minutes in the glass. Toshi says, Cam, is that the first or second batch, 13th Colony Double Oak? It's the second batch. I have the first, and it got noticeably worse while the bottle was open. I think this is I think this is going to be the trend with those. I haven't tasted their base bourbon that they're using for this, so I'm not sure what that comparison is like. But yeah, for me, man, that second batch, the longer it sits, that double oaking kind of, I don't want to say wears off, because it definitely doesn't wear off. But it's exposing more of what's underneath it, and I'm not I'm not the biggest fan of that, which kind of sucks because that's what the whiskey is. I'm not saying it's bad at all. And would I buy an entire case of these at $200 a piece? Yes, I would. I mean, it's remarkably good stuff, but it changed way more than I would have ever expected a product like that to change. Oh, Toshi has a batch one sample poured. Oh, man, that's awesome. That's awesome. That will be very, very exciting to take a look at that. Thank you, man. Okay. I'm going to scroll up here. Jay says, I want some carrot cake now. Mark Vasco's got a 194. which is Jason the Norseman. Jason Norseman's named Voodoo Chili, which goes along. That's funny with the number 77 Freebird. So I have a music theme going. So you have a Freebird also. Yeah, I haven't opened mine yet, but I can't wait to. It's crazy what the airtime does to this cigar blend. It is really, really crazy. Very cool. Well, that is what we are playing for tonight. Just a reminder, we're going to give one of these away. All right. So let's keep it moving now. We are an hour and 17 in. We have 92 folks in here. For those of you who are hanging out, who have not hit that like button, please, just give it a little. Hit the like button. Help out the channel. It's free. It's the best thing you can do to help out, honestly, besides subscribing. Thank you for being here, whether you're live or on the replay. And what's coming up here? Let me think about this. I just dropped a Larceny C923 review before this stream. We're not done. Don't worry. Or maybe you want it to be done. That's okay, too. I just dropped the Larceny C923 review before this stream, so check that out after the fact if you haven't already. Tomorrow I should be able to get this out tomorrow with no problem because Whiskey Wear is very easy to edit and put together. I have a Whiskey Wear that I shot at a cool place when I was in Buffalo. That's all I'll say, so look out for that video to drop tomorrow. It was very misty. That's the spoiler. It was very misty there. So that'll come out. And then I still have a review of Old Charter that I need to put out, but I need to go through and see if I can even use it. I shot a bunch of videos in a row a few weeks back, and by the end of shooting all of them, I was pretty drunk, to be honest. And I was like, let me shoot one more, and I'm gonna shoot Old Charter. So I think I acknowledged in that video, I'm pretty hammered right now, but we're gonna review this whiskey. So I need to see if it's even a usable video. That needs to come out at some point. I'm not in any rush to put it out, though. But I do want to open a really cool bottle in a video. I was going to do it on a live stream, but I think a video is a better place. I have a 1969 Old Ezra 15 year, so distilled in 54 or earlier. From, I guess it's probably Hoffman distillate. So I'm going to open that in a video and do my first taste on camera. And that's going to be pretty cool. That might be the next thing I put out because I've been wanting to open that bottle now. I've been feeling it. So that might be next. David, thank you for the super chat. Congrats on your batch of Magnus. That's epic, and props to the Nose Whiskey Fraley for all her Whiskey Tube support. Cheers. Thank you, David. And cheers to Nancy, of course. Tim Tam says, someone contacted 13th Colony and they confirmed next year will be the last double oak release for a while, maybe multiple years until batch 4. Okay. Huh. Clay says, for $200, sorry, I'm going with a known entity. Yeah, Clay, I don't fault you for saying that whatsoever. But I can tell you that it's very, very good stuff. All right. Paul says, so you made it to Niagara. Yeah, maybe. Did you make it to Anchor Bar? Paul, I've actually been to Anchor Bar before. So I didn't go this trip to Anchor Bar, unfortunately. Yeah, for some reason, I didn't really get to a lot of great restaurants while I was there. But I was really busy. I was trying to get a lot of drums and dram stuff done and a lot of practice in the hotel room, Clay, man, Clay is incredibly generous. And last week, Clay was the reason that Adam won a bottle of Stag 22A, which is either en route or has arrived. He says, the drill cam, if I happen to hit, please share with the first-time winner. Thank you, Clay. It's awesome, man. Get you in here for 3. And okay, looks like we're doing good. Tim Tam, I'll get the Venmos here in just a second. Thanks, man. I want to get into this Forgate. That's what we're going to do next. I want to do a blind flight. Gosh, we might go late. I will do the giveaway drawing at a reasonable hour. Let's say latest I'll do it is 10:15. So in the next 45 minutes. Probably earlier than that. Nancy says, I'm so sorry, but oh, Nancy, don't worry about it. I have to be at work at 7 a.m. Go to bed, Nancy, and work through some 7, 8, 9, and 10-year-old Wyoming whiskey stock. Got to grab dinner. Oh, dang. Still got to get the dinner. Yeah, Nancy, thank you for being here for any amount of time. It's awesome to have you here whenever you're able to make it. And yes, I do need to reach out, and we need to get something, on the books for you to come on, and we can talk shop and figure out something cool to do. Not only talking shop, but some exercise, some blending exercise, or maybe I'll send you some samples and you send me some, whatever. We'll figure it out. But it's so good to have you here, Nancy. And thank you again for doing the contest #1 and naming a batch a drummer's dram. It's just super cool. Super cool. So cheers, Nancy. Thank you. Everybody say thank you and cheers to Nancy. Okay, Ben Chrisman says, cheers, my first Magnus Cigar Blend quickly took over as my favorite. Yes, when I got my first batch 24, at that time, I actually already owned a Chateau de Labade, batch 1. So that was tough because Chateau de Labade has a very special place, not only for the quality of the whiskey, but just for me personally. At the time, COVID, all my work leaving, it was the first premium whiskey I ever owned. I remember my palms were sweating when I bought a bottle for $300. I couldn't believe I was spending that much on whiskey because I never thought I'd be the person spending exorbitant amounts of money on this stuff. And then I remember when I opened it and tasted it and how special it was. But then I got a Magnus Cigar 24 and I was like, oh my God, this stuff is so good. And actually, I did a whiskey awards video back in 2020, maybe. And I think Nancy commented on it because I put Cigar Blend and Chateau de Labade in there. Talked about how I liked them both. Cheers, Nancy. Okay. Have I missed any super chats? Guys, have I missed putting anything up on the screen? Please let me know if I have. And let me check out the Venmos. Now, we're going to get into this Forgate next. This is Kelvin 60 at 125.6 proof, or 62.8% ABV. Only a few thousand bottles of this one. 8-year age statement on here. It is Kentucky straight bourbon whiskey finished in new charred casks by Kelvin Cooperage. And obviously, Kelvin Cooperage is a pretty big name when it comes to cooperages. And it doesn't say on this label, but the deal is that the mash bill on this one is 70% corn. Hang on. 75% corn. 20% rye. 5% malted barley. And basically what you're looking at here is Four Roses 8-year whiskey in the low rye mash bill, but I don't know what yeast strain this is, or if it's multiple yeast strains. But this is sourced Four Roses. I think I can say that with 99% certainty, given the mash bill, given the state of distillation, given the age, given the proof, all those good things. This is basically OES something Four Roses. Derek says, great stream tonight, Camp. Thank you, man. Stoked there's a Magnus Cigar Blend batch dedicated to you and all of us less professional drummers out here. Cheers. Thanks, man. Yeah, I mean, it rolls off the tongue, right? A drummer's dram kind of rolls off the tongue. So I thought that was pretty cool. And look, Nancy could have made it about, I think it's the rain. I was like, what's going on outside? Nancy could have named it after drummers generally. She could have named it after, and there are a lot of whiskey tube drummers out there, actually, as you guys well know. But, to name it after Drums and Drams, I thought was really cool. So, ding dong. Joe says, cheers, Cam, drinking a Peerless High Rye. So good. I have not revisited that bottle in quite a while. I might need to do that tonight. But Joe, thank you. $15 super chat. Cheers to that, man. Big League Bourbon. Give me just a second. We're about to get into this. Oh, Drew is in Serbia. Kosovo's in Serbia, right? Serbia? Or is Kosovo its own entity, actually? Oh, partially recognized country in the center of the Balkans, bordered by Serbia to the north and east, North Macedonia to the southeast, Albania to the southwest, and Montenegro to the west. Just below Serbia. Dude, I saw that you were over there, man. That's awesome. So are you touring with are you on like a State Department thing? I know some people do like ambassadorships. Or are you just doing kind of your own thing? Darrell says, Cam, we had a Chateau Batch 1 bottle in Kentucky the other week. It's so good, man. And I'll tell you, the cigar blend Scott for my bourbon journey brought over was Batch 6. So, Darrell, be honest, man. Which one did you like better? Because I haven't had those early cigar blends. State Department. That's awesome, dude. That is awesome. I know that Ivan's done stuff like that. And, I mean, Drew, you've done stuff. Have you done stuff like that? Because I think Ivan's been to, like, some crazy places with that cello group. Break of Reality, right? John, you have not... Oh, I missed the Four Gate review, putting kids to bed. No, we're about to get into the Four Gate review right now, man. But grabbed a Four Gate Liquor Barn pick in Lexington, only had one pour. Yeah, we'll talk about this. Paul says, does this have a leak? No, Paul, I've actually already sampled this out. I gave a 2-ounce sample out today, but I actually had a couple pours last night, as you can see. All right. I want to get to these damn... I say this with love. I want to get to these damn Venmo super chats. I'm trying to drink this Forgate. No, I'm just kidding. Robert. I'm going to start with Robert G. In for one. Says, admit one, Rob G. Little ticket emoji. Thank you, man. We got Tim Tam. In for one. Thank you. Let's get to that. He says the drummer's batch. There we go. And then Travis in for... Let me make sure I got that. Did I get Zach Butler earlier? I will double check that, Zach. Yes, I did. I got Zach Butler in for 3. And then we got Travis jumping in for 2. There we go. He says, here's a donation for a chance at the little drummer boy. Thanks, man. Oh, Clay, man. I need to get in on this lottery. I forgot about this. The Pride of Anderson County stuff looks crazy. Wow, Darrell liked the cigar blend more. And, you know, I've actually, since revisiting Chateau de la Baude Batch 1, it is a very finished whiskey. Like, it borders on a little bit skunky and dry. I just have a special attachment to that bottle, and I love it. It's one of those things where, like, it is kind of one-dimensional in some ways, but I think the dimension that it is my favorite dimension, so I'm cool with it. Whereas I feel like the cigar blends are probably a little more curated, you know, or put together. Drew says, Ivan put me onto it a few years ago, did Mexico and Costa Rica in 2018, also doing Nigeria and Uganda. Damn, dude. We're supposed to do Lebanon, yeah. Not happening now. Man, that's the thing about, like, the Middle East. I would love, I mean, not only to play music in the Middle East, but just to go see it, you know. Just to go over there. You know, I've always wanted to go to Egypt, not just for the pyramids, you know. Another place I've wanted to go is Morocco. I'd love to see Morocco. But that's cool, man. Nigeria and Uganda. That's going to be cool. Well, have fun, dude. What time is it over there? I guess it's late, huh? If you're probably, what, 6 or 7 hours ahead? Okay, so on to the Forgate 125.6. So let me give a spiel just super quick. First off, this smells very good, and it's extremely concentrated. Like the flavors in this, or the aromas in this, I guess I should say, very concentrated. But I do want to say this, like a lot of these MGP bourbons, this is not MGP. So, sorry, I don't mean to make an equivalency here. But a lot of times you get MGP bourbons from certain sourcing operations that finish those whiskeys in a toasted Kelvin cooperage barrel. And a lot of times what you get, Kelvin cooperage is kind of like a famous thing when you get to use those barrels. But a lot of times what you get is this, what I call breakfasty kind of note. It's very spicy. It's a little savory. You get like breakfast sausage, coffee, maple syrup, waffle, but very sharp because of that added spice from the second barrel, and it gets a little bit raw wood-like on that toasted finish. And again, that's something that Matt Porter talks about, I talk about, where it's like walking into the lumber section of a Home Depot, Menards, Lowe's. I don't like that. I think it's a cheap imitation, or it's a cheap mask to put on whiskey. And I think a lot of times it happens using young whiskey and Kelvin cooperage barrels. And it's not exclusively Kelvin cooperage, but those have a distinct thing to them. They really do. So this Forgate, which is Four Roses, 8-year, at a good proof, 125.6 is that's a high proof Four Roses. This is on the border for me of being too much of that toasted oak type note or secondary barrel finish note. It's on the verge, but it has not crossed the threshold. And this is what Forgate does so well. So I feel like I just kind of curveballed, right? Forgate knows how to handle their wood. No, Forgate knows how to bring something to the brink, to the point of no return, and not cross that threshold. They do it with the Kelvin collabs. They do it with a lot of their finished stuff. In this case, it's the same thing, man. They're right there. They have concentrated the flavor down in this whiskey with that second barrel. And to me, is this an overreach? Let's call it a 5 to 10% overreach on the second barrel. Because subjectively, I'm not the biggest fan of that. But it is very well managed. The other thing I'll say is that when you see some of these people sourcing MGP, even Buffalo Trace, some of this Nash Tucky stuff, rumored Buffalo Trace 5-year, and putting it in used barrels, like used Stag Junior barrels or used Willet barrels or whatever, I like that a lot more than using brand new, and I'm not knocking Forgate for this, I'm just making a general comment. I like using those used barrels more than I like the brand new Kelvin cooperage or whatever, because those used barrels don't impart that raw wood character, but they still concentrate the flavor down. It's the same thing, though. You can leave them in those secondary barrels too long as well, even though they're used, because when the flavor starts to concentrate down, it almost starts to feel a little artificially concentrated once those hit a breaking point in their secondary maturation. So it's a fine balancing act, whether you're using new barrels or using old barrels like Barrel King's doing and other things like that. Again, I think this walks a fine line, but I think for me, it's crossed it just a smidge, but it's very well managed. Okay, there we go. I should use my words more carefully. This is finished in a new char number 2 charred oak barrel, not a toasted barrel. Okay. So, what am I getting on the nose? Well, there is a lot of oak. There is a lot of woodiness to this, which comes across as a lot of oak spice, a lot of coffee. You could say leather, but it's not like weird, funky leather notes. It's not like that. It's not like a Knob Creek old leather type thing. But there's a lot of freshness to this too. A lot of fresh fruit going on. You would expect with some of the like dark influence of the second barrel on this that you're going to get dried fruits. I don't think that's actually what I'm getting on the nose. I get like fresh strawberries, fresh raspberries, which again reminds me of what the base whiskey is here, which you can say with 98% certainty is Four Roses. There's actually kind of a light vanilla note. I've said this on some other bourbons too, much younger bourbons, but here it's not coming off as a young thing, which is white cake, fluffy white cake. And yes, on the very like kind of lower side of it, back end, whatever, I do get kind of a dried, maybe date, maybe like a dry kind of date note. So this is a stratified profile. There's a lot of light, a lot of dark, spicy, savory, kind of everything. It hits all corners. To me, what do I want to say about it? I don't know. I'm going to just taste it. I like this. Clearly, I drank a bunch of this last night, and I'm trying to figure it out. I really like it, and I actually think it's going to get better with air in the bottle, similar to the cigar blend earlier, but I like how concentrated the flavors are. Let's start with that. Yeah, see, the palate, I've said this about a few whiskeys now tonight, so maybe it's me. The palate on this outdoes the nose. The nose gets a little bit too much of that oak for me, that new oak from the second maturation. The palate on here, yes, it has it, but it's more balanced. And it's like, it's perfect. Like from front to back to me, the way it ramps up, the way it's hanging on now, and the insanely slow decay into the finish, that is like, that's what you want in a whiskey. So it's some mad scientist kind of stuff going on with Forgate in how these are put together and balanced. Yeah. As you go back to the nose on it after the first sip, you acclimate to that second barrel spice. I guess we're going to call it that for now. And it does get a little bit more maple syrup on the nose. The palate's so good. Oh. So okay. For those of you who have seen this pop up, Seal Box is sold out. I think they actually oversold from what I've heard. But they're working on trying to fulfill those orders, and I hope they do, because that's not a great sign for them. They should do better than that. Anyways, if you see this in a store at $200, $200 is a lot for a whiskey. There's only a very small subset of people that I would say, assuming $200 is something that you would normally pay for a premium product, maybe once every month, once every 2-3 months. If you are one of those people, the only reason I would say not to buy this bottle is if you absolutely hate every single toasted, double oaked, secondary barrel product that you've ever had. Okay, fair enough. Don't buy this. For anyone else who, even like me, is on the fence or really loves this kind of thing, you're going to love this bottle. And I am consistently not proven wrong, because I've never really said don't buy Forgate. I just recognize that it's expensive, and we all do, right? It's like Old Carter. These are just expensive bottles. But Forgate, for me, every time I try a bottle, I go, damn it, it's worth $200. Like, in the current market, you could go to the store and you could find a couple of $60, $70 bottles and say, okay, I'm going to just like take my chances and buy 2 or 3 of these. Well, by the time you do that and you only sort of like one of them and the other 2 are schlock, that's money wasted. And you could go for a tried and true thing like Forgate. And it kind of is tried and true for me. The Kelvin collabs are a sure buy. every time. Every sample I've received of the Kelvin collabs, I'm like, I wish I had one of these bottles. With this is a little less my style because you're talking about a new second barrel and not like a finishing barrel. Even this, $200, I know it's a lot of money. It's great. It's really good. And that's even with me accepting the fact that there's, you know, a 5 to 10% overstep on that second barrel. For me personally, I think it's still really good. So, there we go. I love it. And, yeah, is Big League still in here? I don't know, but I dig it. Who in the chat right now has tried this Kelvin 60? And if you have, I'm curious what you think of it. And also, is there any, like, what is the general feeling towards these toasted products? When I refer to toasted products that I really don't like, I tend to think about like Nulu, and Nulu does great stuff. Don't get me wrong. But I tend to think of like those Nulu, whether it's a wheated bourbon or a rye bourbon toasted finish, where it just tastes, you just taste the second barrel and that's all you taste. See, those aren't managed well to me. It's just like a blasting out of the water of the base bourbon. You don't even taste it. You just taste that second barrel. So a lot of guys in here are waiting on this to get to them. I actually felt pretty lucky that Sealbox shipped it as quickly as they did, and I'm glad it showed up in time. It showed up yesterday, so I was able to do it tonight. Austin says Penelope Toasted is one of the best on the market. So, Austin, I have to respectfully disagree just in my experience because they're all single barrels. I have found that the Penelope Toasteds are way overdone, but typically they're way overdone when they're a heavy... when it says heavy on the label, is it a heavy toast, I guess? Not a heavy char. It would be heavy toast, I think, right? I don't know how they classify their stuff that they're doing, or you know what cooperage they use or whatever else. But I had a medium. It said medium on the label. This was a few years ago I got this bottle. That was a very good toasted product. But the heavy stuff that I've gotten from Penelope has tasted like almost like an ashtray for me. Copper Wolf likes this. Yeah, I'm on my first pour. Got my bottle today, and it's great. Yeah. I like it, man. Let me, you know, in the spirit of opening this thing up, which typically air will do it good as well, and also the color on this is fantastic. Let me throw a little water in it. Clay says, I think it's personal stigma, but I've associated toasted with young whiskey and hiding the young whiskey. I don't disagree with that, but in this case, because this is 8-year Four Roses, we know that that's pretty good stuff. So I think the coolest thing would be to taste what this blend was before it went into those barrels. Taste what the mother blend is, according to Nancy, if there was one. Or maybe this was just all, you know, maybe it was single barrels distributed into toasted barrels. Like, I don't know if this was like blended or vatted first and then distributed into these barrels. And maybe those, well, I don't think they were different toast or I shouldn't say toast. I should say char profiles. I was corrected earlier. Here, char 2. So I was going to say they could be a variety of char or toast levels, but they are all char 2 barrels, I guess. But you never know what that process is like, whether it was blended first or whatever. But I would love to taste the base product versus this. And another thing that Bardstown Bourbon Company has done is reblend. So they've like finished some stuff, blended it together, and then blended the unfinished back in to try to even it out. I think that's an interesting concept. Raw Corporation says, Cam, any thoughts on the Pride of Anderson County bourbons coming out soon? Pretty damn pricey. Yeah. I just saw this the other day. Maybe you guys saw it the other day too. I don't know how long that information has been out. That Rare Character and Rare Bird 101 have collaborated on these Pride of Anderson County bottlings, which are 2 bourbons and a rye from Wild Turkey. So 3 single barrels. And I think this is the first of many. This is the very first release. The 2 bourbons are 13.5-year bourbons from Camp Nelson E. And I don't remember where the rye is from, but the rye is $400 a bottle, and the bourbons are each $500 a bottle. And when you enter the lottery on Bourbon Outfitter, that you don't get to choose which one you want. They just send you an invoice for a bottle, so you don't know which one you're even going to get if you do win, which the odds are probably pretty darn slim. So what are you paying for? I mean, you're paying for a single barrel expression, and the proofs are slightly higher than Russell's 13. So okay. But Russell's 13 has up to 20-year whiskey in it in a lot of these batches. So you're paying for a single barrel, which those can be remarkable. Don't get me wrong. But a $500 base price, man, it's really tough for me. I know that you don't see these things coming out of Wild Turkey. You trust that David Jennings is picking the most badass barrels. But $500 and $400. It's really tough. I don't know. I would have to taste one of them and see just how much better they are than Russell's 13 possibly, or if they're just a more singular, like, focused profile because it's a single barrel. I don't know. Derek says the rise from Tyrone Q. So, and I had known pretty much nothing about that. Joe, I didn't even know about this. The 120 proof William Heavenhill 17 that got surprise released last night. Jesus, man. I bet that's a crazy bottle. I had no idea. Am I missing I am missing a super chat here. Let me catch up real quick. Ryan D in for 3. That rhymes. Hoping to get that Drummer's Dram, favorite Whiskey Tube live streamer. Thank you, Ryan. Please refer to me as Ryan D. I'm glad I did, because I didn't read that first. Please refer to me as Ryan D in the live stream. You got it. You got it. Ryan D is on the run from the feds. He doesn't want me to give out his last name. I'm just kidding, Ryan. Maybe. Okay, and Clay's got a Russell's pick from Tyrone Q. I've not opened yet. It's the first Q I've picked up. One sec, guys. Sarah just got home. Give me 2 seconds. You want to jump in? Come on. Come on. Love you. Okay. Guys, I never see my wife anymore, so. Okay. Clay. No. Sarah is code for Sarah just got home, and I get to see her for 3 seconds before she goes to bed, and then I actually get to hang out with her tomorrow, which is nice. But I never see her anymore. All right, so now a little water in this Four Gate Kelvin 60. Huh. It got actually way more ethanol sting on the nose, which is crazy. Like, the balance kind of fell away on the nose. Nope. Nope. Do not put water in that. That's crazy. I would have thought that the oak would have integrated a little bit more. That completely fell apart. Well, I actually shouldn't say it fell apart. It just concentrated on one thing, which was the wrong thing, which was like ethanol and intensity and spice. Crazy. So that's not the solution. It didn't really need a solution, to be honest. It's a damn good whiskey, and I'm still recommending it at $200. But I don't know how Forgate does this. I don't know. It's just some mad science stuff. Okay. Let me check in here. Okay, we're good on Venmo. Guys, we're going to close down the tonight's giveaway at 10:05. So that's in like basically 3 minutes from right now. So if you have any final super chats you want to get in for this Cigar Blend Batch 193, a drummer's dram, we're going to have 2 giveaway winners tonight. The first winner is going to win that bottle, and the second person, no duplicates of course, is going to get a 2-ounce sample of that, the Forgate, Knob Creek Batch 2, all 3 of the Still Austins, and there was something else I thought. Maybe that's it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I think that might be it, actually. Yeah. Yeah, that's it. So that person's going to win 6 2-ounce samples. JMCB 193. All 3 Still Austin. I'm going to write this down very quickly. KC 18, Batch 2, and Forgate, 2 ounce of each. And top winner gets bottle of JMCB. So there we go. You guys are cracking me up, Toshi and Clay. Alex, no, unfortunately, I didn't have a part in the creation of the cigar blend, but Nancy just named it after me with this kind of contest that she did on Instagram. So I suggested the name, and she rolled with it, which is cool. Mike B, where did you land on Knob Creek Batch 2 versus 1 of the 18-year? Batch 2, for me, is much better. And it could be that my Batch 1 has had a lot of time in the bottle, lots of air, but it felt super tannic, felt discombobulated, and I think Batch 2 was much more like focused, and it was spicier. It drank higher than 100 proof, which that needs, because Batch 1 felt underproof. So Batch 2 for me, even though it's sitting on shelves in places and not moving at SRP, kind of crazy, I prefer it over Batch 1. It doesn't come with a fancy box either, but that's okay. Austin Erickson says, try my luck one more time. Thanks, man. Alex says, tell Nancy. No, Alex, you tell Nancy. I don't know. I don't know if I could... Blending is so different than tasting. I'll tell you that. Joe, I haven't even had Discovery 10. So 10 and 11 are mysteries to me, unfortunately. Speaking of Discovery 10, Nick, my Kona Jams is my friend Nick, and he offered to let me taste Discovery 10, and then all I got to do is drive like 30 minutes from my house. So, anyways, what's up, Nick? Speak of the freaking devil. That's crazy. So I think I'm going to do a blind flight after this. I mean, we're pretty deep, but I'll do a blind flight after this. And we're going to do the giveaway first, and then if people want to sign off, totally understand. But I haven't done a blind flight in a long time, and I think it would be fun to get into one this evening. Clay, I love that you get into this nerdy stuff. You love the pairings and everything else. So this makes a lot of sense that you would ask this. Thoughts on the type of water you add to the whiskey as playing a role in the change of flavor, distilled versus tap versus cold versus spring. I haven't experimented with this, but it's a very interesting experiment. And you're going to make me want to do it now. So Tim says Discovery 11 is nice, a throwback for sure. Okay. Because I think that's the one that's all Kentucky again, right, Tim? And I think I like the new label, the white label. Thrasher would love to throw Drums and Drams JMCB in the case. Thank you, Thrasher. And I like bourbon a lot. In for 4. Thank you. Kevin, Knob Creek comparison. Batch 2 over batch 1. Austin Erickson, speaking of Bardstown, have you been able to try any of the new single barrels they've been releasing? I have one. This one is from Bourbon Finds. 75 corn, 15 rye, 10 barley, 110 proof, 6 years. Gotta make sure I have enough glasses. Hang on. Let me clear one out. I remember liking it, but it's been a few weeks. Let's just have one quick sip. All right, giveaway is going to be cut off now unless any very last minute ones come through, and we're going to do the randomizer here in just a second. Tim, wow, Tim coming in with the hard-hitting opinion here. Says save your money on the single barrels and get a Discovery 11. That is not so. I mean, with the way Discovery's been going, that's good to know. Although I like Discovery 9, but it still didn't blow me away. But I really did like it. Oh, Derek says all Kentucky. And the 6-year Bardstown was aged in French oak the full 6 years. Rest is 10. Huh. French oak. And Joe, Discovery 11 is 70+% 13-year-old turkey. Really? So one thing I've never known, Joe, I've heard people speculate, but I never knew if anybody actually 100% knew if the 75, 13, 12 mash bill in the Discovery Series stuff was beam or turkey, because they both have that mash bill. Oh, the Hardin's Creek mash bill from Beam, and then 6% of the Bardstown Bourbon Company Wheater. Whoa. I need to try this. I could just drive down there tomorrow. If it's in the gift shop, I have the day off. I could just not edit a video and pour samples, and I could just drive down to Bardstown. Jeez. I don't know if they have it in the gift shop. Joe says you can 100% smell the turkey funk. I need to get this, dude. Derek says in Discovery 2 that mash bill was turkey. Okay. Damn. Okay. All right, real quick. The 6-year Bardstown. Yeah. Super solid. Nothing to write home about, but getting a little pineapple in this one. Pineapple, burnt cherry. Yeah. Cinnamon spice. That's good. But it's not crazy. All right. Joe says, yes, I got it at the gift shop. Wow. All right, here we go. Let's do one final check on Venmo and PayPal. All right, Nick Combs. Let me get you in here. In for 1. Thank you, man. And James jumping in here, too. Yeah, James, if you win this, you can just pick it up tomorrow with those samples, man. Awesome. Oh, Toshi jumping in at the 11th hour. Thank you, Toshi. And he's not skimping either. Thank you. In for 10. Jeez, dude. I appreciate it. I appreciate all of you so much. That's awesome. And I have to do my due diligence here and check PayPal one last time, although I usually don't get very much on PayPal. Nope. I think we're good there. All right, let's run this. And I think I may have missed one super chat. And Amy picked it up from John and says, I need a good batch of Magnus Cigar. So, okay, here we go. Hey, Mom. So we have 114 entries. That is incredible. I guess I should do this because I always do this. Let me put this on the screen now, and if you see anything on here that doesn't look correct, please let me know in the next like 2 minutes. I can't even really fit them all on the screen. Okay, if you can see that. I know we nailed the first couple. Copper Wolf, David, Amy, Austin at the beginning. But your name is going to be next to the number of super chats you gave at any given time. But it's not your total number next to your name. It is just each time. So if Copper Wolf gave $20 up front, that's 4 entries, and there you go. And his name populates 4 times over here. And then David Babcock gave a $10 super chat, which is 2 entries. And his name populated over here, et cetera, et cetera. But if you gave more than once, like, for instance, Austin Erickson gave here a $20 super chat. And then here gave a $10 super chat. They will appear at different times on that list. So please double check your entries here. You have like 90 seconds, and if it's not there, if anything's misaccounted for, we will find a solution later. You can email me, but just take a second, check it over real quick. Thrasher says, blinded Discovery 1, 2, 3, and 4 not too long ago. Love them all. I figured 2 would come out on top, but 1 actually took them. Yeah, Thrasher, that's such a hard one, man, because 1 really tastes like Barton. 2 really has a big spice profile to it, and it just stands out in terms of like drinking experience, I think. And 3 is very relaxed but balanced, and that MGP note is great. And then 4 has a little bit of the nuttiness from that mystery mash bill, and you know, they're all so good in their own ways, but they're just so incredible, man. I like number 1. I mean, geez. All right, here we go, guys. We're going to get onto this giveaway now. All of those names... Oh, my God. I am just scrolling around. All those names are copied and now pasted into the randomizer. We're going to run it 7 times. Lucky number 7. Top 2. There we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And here we go. Last one. 7. Boom. There we go. Zach Butler. Zach Butler with, I think, one $15 super chat coming out victorious. Zach Butler. There we go. So I'll throw this in his package because I have some samples going his way too. So congrats, Zach. And the second place winner, who's going to get some awesome samples, Derek. Derek, let's freaking link up, dude. Good Lord. I got these bottles for you now. I got some samples for you. It's time. It's freaking time, dude. So there we go. Congrats, guys. No one needs to email me. I've got all the information. So very cool. Now we can get onto a blind flight. Thank you all so much for supporting the channel. I just want to say that again. Your support means the world to me. I know obviously Drums and Drams is always up and down, up and down. I have found slightly more consistency recently. I know it doesn't feel like it from your point of view, but in terms of filming and editing and having the time and making the time in my schedule to be able to do it with everything else going on, it is getting better, and it's a slow and steady thing for me, but yeah, it's exciting. And actually, I guess I should say this here. It's not confirmed yet, but I am working with the Columbus Symphony, which is, you know, the orchestra that I play for. We are working on the first Drums and Drams live event here in Columbus, and we have some venues that we're taking a look at, and we're going to figure out the economics of the situation and how we can make it work, what the best situation is, especially in a control state, what the legality is, but putting together some sort of music and whiskey event here in Columbus, Ohio. So, to be determined, of course, but I would like to try to do something like this. And I've always wanted to do them myself, you know, independent of any organizational support. But to be able to do it with the symphony, whether other people are involved or not, like it from a musical perspective, I have no idea what we're going to do yet. But it would be a great first try, a great way to like try to get this off the ground and then see what the feasibility is of doing something like this. Because, you know, now that I've done a private tasting for some donors for the orchestra, it went really well. I had a great time. I know what to improve for next time. And thinking about doing it in a more public way where there might be 100, 150 people in the room, like, you know, that's a very comfortable thing for me. I'm used to being on stage. I'm used to talking to a lot of people publicly and on live streams. And so I just, you know, it'd be a lot of fun. So stay tuned. And, you know, if you're in the area, or if it's something that, you know, you're kind of close enough to come to something like that, you know, I will definitely talk about it as it materializes. JG says tipsy triangles. And then here's the last thing, guys. For my patrons who might be here, I will make a post or a video in the Patreon as well. I'm gonna suss out who might be interested in, because I have 4 of these. Okay, I have 4 of these Drums and Drams. I'll just call it that for now. Drums and Drams Cigar Blend, a drummer's dram. I have 4. 1 is open. 3 are unopened. Of the 3 unopened, Zach just won 1 of them, and I'm going to keep 1 of them for later as a backup, but there's 1 left. And I would rather share that than hang on to it. I'm happy to hang on to it. Don't get me wrong. But I'd like to make it more accessible to my patrons. So what I want to do is find out who in my Patreon is interested at buying that from me at cost, which is what I paid for most of these. Some of them I had to overpay a little bit, but most of them I bought at cost from people who were nice enough to contact me and let me know that they had my batch of Cigar Blend. So I'll find out who in the Patreon is actually interested in buying it at cost, which is probably going to be $200 plus shipping. It's not cheap, I know. But if you don't want it, you don't have to sign up. And then I'll just run a randomizer in the Patreon, and whoever wins it can buy it at cost. I think that'd be a good way to do it. Just to share the love a little bit. Toshi says, would love to grab it. Well, Toshi, you know, we'll see what happens in the Patreon thing. You know, and if someone else contacts me and comes across with another Toshi, I'll try to, you know, and if you don't end up getting that one, I'll let you know, and I'll try to get that to you. Toshi, who do I have on UFC 294? I'm going to pick Islam. I want Volk to win, but I'm going to pick Islam. And I've got Hamzat pretty easily over Usman. So I'm going with Team Beard here. I want Volk to win so bad, but I don't think that he's going to be able to get Islam out of there in the first 2.5 rounds. And then I think it's going to turn into a war. I think the conditioning is going to play a factor. Volk's going to be in good shape, but not in as good of shape. He will probably catch Islam, but I don't think he'll get him out of there. And then I think Islam is going to wear him down, and I think he'll win another possibly close decision like he did last time. Hamzat, I think, will get Usman out of there. Yeah, and I'm pulling for the people you are too, but I think it is what it is. But it's going to be awesome, man. No, yeah, look, Usman is past his prime, in my opinion. I do think. I think the Leon head kick, I think we're going to start seeing him slip. And the other part of it is that the way he's talking in the press conferences, there's no fire in him, man. I really think that he's on the decline. And I would have loved to see him retire. I would love to see him not fight Hamzat. I don't think he should have taken this fight. I think he should fight somebody else that he can win over, and then I think he should retire. And retire on top as much as possible. Yeah, Toshi, that's the thing, man. He felt like he had no energy in the press conference. Yeah, Colt 45, it did drop in North Ohio, like northeastern Ohio, I think. No, actually, I heard it was in Toledo, so northwest Ohio. But I think some folks actually saw it in northeast Ohio, too. So I think it's just in the northern part of Ohio, that 193. I've heard no reports of it in Cincinnati or Columbus. Excuse me. All right, you guys in for a blind flight? I think we should do it. So, Amy, let me ask you this. Can you tell me what you sent in the most recent blind flight? If you're still here, Amy, can you tell me what you sent in the most recent blind flight, or do you not want to tell me anything about it? And if so, that's totally cool with me. And then also, I got to figure out which of I have these 3 blind flights in front of me. 3 blind flights. Haha. I can only think of three blind mice. I don't know which one I should do. Amy says no, it's all ECBP. Okay. ECBP might put me on my ass tonight if I do 4 of those. But also, I don't got to work tomorrow. What to do? What to do? Let me get a few fresh glasses while I think about it. I mean, Amy, I feel like I kind of owe it to you because I now have 2 of your blind flights I'm sitting on. I feel like, and I meant to do one in Buffalo and I didn't do it. So I feel like I owe it to you to do one of these flights. Unless, for instance, you want to go to bed right now, you know, and you don't want to stay up for this, which I understand because it's kind of late. So if I picked one of yours, Amy, and you did want to be here and stay up and, you know, yeah, be here for it, should I pick the other one that you sent me a while ago, the 5-pour flight, which is called Get Off My Lawn? Or should I do the ECBP flight? Which, like, if you had a preference. If you don't have a preference, that's cool too. I don't sleep, Cam. All good. Same. I miss blind flights. I miss Matt Madness. I just miss all of these things. You guys know that feeling when you're gonna go on a trip that you're really looking forward to, or you're just gonna do something that you're really looking forward to, and you have that kind of like, not anxiety, but like that nervous excitement, that butterflies in your stomach thing. I actually had that today about live streaming tonight, and I was like, this is so weird, because, you know, some weeks I'm like, oh, I got to live stream tonight because I'm tired. It's been a stressful week, and every time I jump on, I'm like instantly happier. It's one of those things you think you're dreading, and then you do it, and then you're happy. Other times I'm just like, I have no feelings about it. It's like, oh, you know, tonight's live stream night. But today I was particularly like giddy and excited because I haven't done this in 2 weeks, and I haven't done it in this studio in at least 3. I just was like, I'm ready to get back to it. I was excited to see everybody. Anticipation, says Toshi. Okay, Amy. I don't know which one. I don't know which one to do. Guys, what do you want to see in the chat? Can I make a poll? I guess I have to pull this video up, huh? JG, Jay, I love you, bro. Oh. Keith says, dude, get off my lawn. I've never done a chat poll. Oh, I'm logged into the wrong YouTube account. Let's do this. Drums and Drams. Topless cam. Travis, trust me, you don't want that right now, man. Engage. Start a poll. Here we go. Which Amy flight should I do? Boom. So, did that come through? Did the poll work there? Do you guys see it? I don't know if I see it. I guess I don't know how to do YouTube, huh? Oh, poll is up. Well, where do I see the results? Live chat? Oh, there we go. So, yeah, the Elijah Craig Barrel Proof Flight is because I've been talking smack and saying I could probably ID, at least to the year, some of these pours and probably identify, you know, what's older versus newer, 2020 being that breaking point, et cetera, et cetera. But Get Off My Lawn is a themed flight, and Amy's instructions say, taste and give feedback on all the samples. Can you ID the distillery, age, and proof? Which is the youngest, oldest, rank by order of preference? Oh, it looks like Get Off My Lawn is winning pretty handily by the percentage that I'm seeing, right? Yeah. Okay. Well, it looks like we're doing that. Cool. Thanks, guys. So, got to learn my alphabet. E, F, G, H, I. Amy sent these with another ABCD flight. That one was called... What was that one called? Oh, calibration. That's right. So let's do this. 1 ounces for each. And let me check in on the secondary camera to make sure the focus is working. Good. I'll go turn up the brightness on that in just a second so that you can definitively read the words. E, F, G, H, I. Okay, so we're going to coat these glasses. I'm going to grab my notebook. And she specifically says distillery age proof, youngest, oldest. Distillery age proof. So that doesn't include type of whiskey, finished or not. But I'll do my best to ID all of those things that I typically do, because what Amy is asking for falls in line with, you know, most of the things that I'm looking for typically as well too. So she's done the same thing here, where we got the dead card on this side, we got the letters on this side. So I'll take the paper clips off. That is the dead card, and I'll remove that. So get that out of the way. Okay, what time we got here? 10:30. Could be worse. It could be worse. Thank you. We have 70, now 69, haha, people hanging out. 2 hours and 20 minutes into a stream, which is really cool. What I'm going to do now is grab my notebook, and also I'm going to go to the bathroom real quick so that I'm fresh for the next, I don't know, 20, 30 minutes for this blind flight. BRB. We only lost 3 people. That's pretty good. Travis. Giggity. That's the only comment. Okay. I love it. Oh, there's the calibration flight notes from last time. That was a hard one. That was a hard one. This one is Get Off My Lawn from Amy. 5 pours. So let's go. I'll just call these 1, 2, 3, 4. I'll call them A, B, C, D, E. Even though they are E, F, G, H, I. And she wants specifically distillery age proof, which is youngest, oldest. And then I'll also try type of whiskey, finished. What's the other one I do? Mash bill, or I do primary grain, whatever. Who cares? Okay, so this camera should now be a little bit brighter. Yes, that looks good. So, let me get my test card. I'll use Amy's X as my test card for the focus on this. let's get into this thing now. So here we go. This is going to be glass A. I have to recalibrate myself here. Glass A. And you'll see that I'm turning my head here. Here we go. Glass A. 3, 2, 1. This is what is in the first glass. If I click this button, it should full screen. There you go. 3, 2, 1. If I click again, it should not. It should undo the full screen. Putting it down. Okay. Yeah, looks like that worked. Cool. That's the X. All right, glass 1. Color. Yeah, fairly dark, actually. Ooh, it smells good. Paul P., is there an age when one stops eating candy, like gummy worms, dots, or good and plenty? I don't think so. David says, "Holy, yeah, Dave. David, we're just getting started, man." Wow, this smells good, and it smells very familiar, Amy. Oh God, this smells so familiar to me. There's a little sour, funky fruit in here. I just gotta taste it. Very funky. Oh God, I know exactly what this is. Oh, it's so familiar. This has a Scotchy thing to it. This has like a Highland Scotch maltiness to it. But I don't think this is a Scotch. I can't even write anything down for this yet. I gotta just keep moving because I need a point of comparison for that. Because it's kind of malty. In a Highland Scotch kind of way. I'm getting freaked out now. So, all right, let's go on to glass B. What is happening? Hang on. I'm just going to quickly... Dude, glass E, the very last glass smells like Irish Spring soap. Amy, what did you pack for me? What is this? Copper Wolf, has anyone sent you a Scotch flight? I actually don't know if anyone sent me an exclusively Scotch flight. I'm not sure. Here's glass B, okay? I guess I need to do this. Yeah. We're in focus, so I'll just go ahead and get this ready to go. Let me get this, okay. Head is turned. You should be seeing it on the screen now. This is in glass B. 3, 2, 1. Should be no full screen now. Okay. Glass B has to be a Jim Beam product. What I'm tasting right now, or smelling. This has that funky, like, it smells like a Baker's 13. Like a Baker's 13 year. That's the kind of vibe this is giving me. The palate's not screaming that. That's got to be Jim Beam. I would pretty quickly guess that. What exactly it is? I don't know. I got to think about the proof point. Jim Beam is one of those things where you can pretty distinctly smell Knob Creek oak if it gets really funky, really leathery. I'm not picking that up here. It feels a little fresher, more lively, young. So then you can jump down to 9 years. And you could think 9-year small batch. You could think 9-year reserve single barrel, which is like the standard shelfer at 120. This doesn't feel 120 to me. But it has some age on it. And I'm going to stick with Knob Creek here. This is either, if it's a pick, it's going to be 120. I'll come back to it, but I'm going to say it could be a Baker's 7, but an older age, or a KC pick, question mark. The proof, this could be a Knob Creek 12. Because it is pretty old tasting. I don't think... I'm going to go 10 to 12 years. I think it's probably a Knob Creek 12. I think I was probably wrong initially. You guys are killing me with the candy. Don't... Stop it. Don't get me... Look, one thing that Sarah and I do is... Well, this is actually from her. I just used to like keeping candy in like a candy dish or something, or a candy jar. And my candy of choice, I'm just a chocolate person. I like to eat chocolate. Some fruity candy here and there, but mostly chocolate. But Sarah has this thing, I guess, in her family where they would keep bags of chocolate chips. Well, okay, actually, they would put all of their chocolate in the freezer, I think, and that's must be where she gets it. Like, if we had Dove chocolates at home, mine would be in, like, a candy jar, and hers would be in the freezer. She likes to eat it cold. I don't know. I mean, maybe. But now, we keep chocolate chips in the freezer. We keep dark chocolate chips, and we keep white chocolate chips. And I am a white chocolate fiend. Ugh. Ken says, hey, I just built my own whiskey room. I love it. What is one whiskey I absolutely need? That is, I mean, that's a tough question. Ken, I mean, I know nothing of what you own or your background or anything like that. I'm going to ask the chat. I'm going to phone a friend and ask the chat on what they would say. If you're going to go beginner, Elijah Craig. If you already have some bottles, Elijah Craig barrel proof. So like I can stay in the same lane. But let's say you're just looking, let's say if it's a very first type of bottle, Russell's Reserve 10 year. $17.92 small batch, Four Roses single barrel. These are all things that come to mind. Total beginner, says Ken. Man. Total beginner. Here's the thing, Ken. Whenever I do tastings with people, what beginners tend to like is not the lowest proof thing. The mistake I think most of us make is that, oh, that's a beginner. They don't want to drink something at a higher proof. They want something approachable and low proof. Oftentimes, the stuff you find at low proof is shitty whiskey. Pardon my French. So when you find an 80 proofer, but it's 2 years old, it just doesn't taste good. So I think what people are looking for when they are beginner whiskey drinkers is a balance of flavor concentration. The biggest thing that you need as a beginner is you need a concentrated flavor profile, so you actually understand what the whiskey tastes like as opposed to what the alcohol in the whiskey tastes like. So you want concentrated flavor, but an approachable proof at the same time. And I think approachable proof is 105 and below. Most people would probably say it needs to be lower than 105. I don't think so. I've had beginner whiskey drinkers at my house. I know I'm monologuing, but bear with me. I've had them at my house drinking Sam Houston 15 year, which is around 103. And they're beginners and they love it because the flavor's all there. So with that said, I'm going to go Russell's Reserve 10 year. Because I think Russell's 10 has a lot of flavor, and it also has that flavor at a lower proof, and it has a high age, so you like really get that oak influence. The other one I would suggest, you say you like moonshine high proof. I'm going to go Cooper's Craft 100 proof because moonshine's going to have a lot of that kick to it. Cooper's Craft has a lot of kick. You're in high char barrels, so you're going to get a lot of barrel intensity from it. And it's 100 proof. I think Cooper's Craft 100 is great if it's in your area, depending on where you live. So Russell's 10, Cooper's Craft 100, and of course, the great standby for a lot of people is going to be Buffalo Trace. And I think there's nothing wrong with that. The other thing, I know I'm suggesting a lot, Russell's 10, Cooper's Craft 100, Buffalo Trace, and Elijah Craig. Those are the directions I go. Joe, obviously King of Kentucky 18. What's up, Brandon? Cheers, man. Okay. You guys, I love you, but don't give dumb answers. Even if you're just messing around, come on. I actually want to help Ken out right now. God, Clay, I hate you, bro. Come on. Okay, at least Clay said he was kidding. Amy, this flight is, these all smell very good. Brandon says, what was the question? Let me pull it up here. There you go. On the screen now. Clay, that's a deep cut, man. All right. Oh, Ken says Cooper's Craft is just down the road from me. Yeah, man. The 100 proof is awesome. All right, guys, I'm going to get back to this blind flight. Keep throwing out suggestions for Ken in the chat. But I'm going to stand by my Russell's 10, Cooper's Craft 100, Buffalo Trace, and Elijah Craig. So, Amy, I'm pretty firmly in the camp on Glass B that it's going to be Jim Beam. Glass A is interesting. This maltiness, this interesting fruitiness. It tastes so familiar, but I can't place it still. Part of me wants to say Old Forester, but I don't think that's right. So on to Glass C now. I'll show you guys what is in Glass C. Remember, please, no spoilers in the chat. No spoilers. Don't talk about what I'm showing on this card. Don't talk about anything even close to it or opposite of it or whatever. Just as if it never happened. All right, here we go. Okay. And we are in focus. All right. 3, 2. Oh, hang on. I got to put my cursor here. Okay. 3, 2, 1. This is in Glass, I guess, C is what it would be. Take a look, and 3, 2, 1. It should be off the screen now. And we're back, and here we go. So glass C. Damn. See, I thought glass B was Jim Beam. And now glass C is also smelling like Jim Beam, which means they could both be Jim Beam. One could be Heaven Hill because it's fairly close in that peanut profile. If I had to go off the nose on initial guesses, I think I would stick with my guess that glass B is Jim Beam and this glass C now is Heaven Hill. If they were different, I would say that. But this one has a Scotchy vibe to it also. So I don't know what's going on. Why am I picking up a maltiness in this? Is it dusty? Amy titled this flight, "Get Off My Lawn." Does that mean these are dusties? Maybe it does. Oh my God, I think they're dusties. That's why glass A is throwing me off so much. Because I think it's a dusty. Oh, Jesus. If these are dusties, Amy, I don't know what I'm going to do. Oh, no. Oh, no. I'm going to call some crazy notes on these things. I like all of these so much. So I don't want to finish any of the glasses. I'm going to stop thinking about bottle guesses now. I think that's my mistake. I think these are probably going to be all dusties or semi-old pours, and I need to stop thinking about that. So let's get to what she actually asked. And this is this is a personality flaw of mine, is I get ahead of myself. And it affects me in my personal life and also in Matt Madness and Blind Flights. Ooh, okay. Amy says, Cam, I'm not that cruel. Okay. Because some of these have notes that I could associate with dusties. So, like glass A, smells like it could be an old... Like if I had to associate this with a dusty profile that I'm familiar with, it's an old Stitzelweller Weeder. Glass A. Glass B doesn't feel as dusty to me. If I'm in that realm of thinking, it's like a Jim Beam product that's kind of old but not necessarily dusty. Glass C has this acetone kind of note to it. Glass D I'll come back to it. And glass E all right. I don't know what's happening. Copper Wolf talking about the River Roots bottle. Is that the MGP that's aged a lot of years in a port cask that's super high proof and very dark? Because I've also been wondering about that. So, Amy, if I just go off the nose of what is the oldest whiskey in this bunch, it's between glass B, C, and D for the oldest. So I guess I need to show you guys what is in glass D now. Hopefully you guys remember this. Hang on. Okay, we got this ready. I'm gonna go here and cursor here. Okay. So we should be solo now, full screen on the card. 3, 2, 1. We should be not full screen now. Okay, we're good. So that was glass D. Oh, that is good. Oh. Wow, that is very good. Why am I getting Knob Creek on so many of these? Or Jim Beam, I should say. Glass D is great. But it reminds me of Glass B. Guys, I would, if you guys want to do a 3-way split on that bottle, I'm totally down. What I would love to do is if I can get the bottle shipped to me and do a review of it, I can cut that review very quickly and then ship it over to you guys, however you want to handle who gets the bottle, who doesn't, whatever. I just would love to have the bottle to do the review of that. If you guys want to do a 3-way split on that, I'm in. Just let me know. Because I'll send the bottle to whoever next. I'll review it. I'll pour out my third, whatever it is, you know, and then send it along. We should do that. Let's do it. Amy, you're killing me with this flight. God. Oh. Raw Corporation says, I just spent $275 on the rare character. 15-year malt. What is that? I've only seen those like 14.5-year ones. What did I say that's gonna be a clip? Oh no, what did I say? Oh no. I'm like pretty drunk right now, so what did I say? I don't even know. I'm trying to like be less drunk so that I can figure this flight out. Okay. The last one, glass 5. Let me show you guys what's in glass 5. Okay. Okay. So we've got this one ready to go. And I'm going to put my cursor here, turn my head. This is in glass E or 5, glass E. Okay, 3, 2, 1. Should be good. Okay. Glass E smells to me like a Barton product. It's just banana, bright fruit, you know. But that, oh, sorry, I need to do this. That banana note could be Old Forester or Jack Daniels. So Glass E stands out as being very different from the rest. And I'm glad for that, because B, C, and D are so similar. I think I'm doing good on distillery. I think B is Jim Beam. I believe C is Heaven Hill. D, D is also Jim Beam or Heaven Hill, but I don't know which one. Damn. Take selected a rare character exceptional series. Man. That is amazing. I bet that is an incredible bottle. Amy, no. I mean, is the theme just that they're old whiskeys? Like, that's the only thing I can guess, is that these are old whiskeys or they are legacy distilleries, so that they're like, you know, the get off my lawn type. It's either an old person or a distillery that's been around for like forever, and I don't know. This is tough. I'm gonna cheat like a little bit. Just a little bit. I'm just going to pick a bottle that I know the proof point of. Amy, I'm like too drunk to do this flight. Oh, this is rough. Clay, stop it. I need... At this point in the night, I would never, ever do this otherwise. I need, like, a reference point whiskey. So, Eagle Rare, 90 proof, 10 year. That's going down like water right now. So that's... These must be some higher proof ones. That first one is not much higher proof. All right, first whiskey, 94 proof. I'm going to say age... It could... I'm going to go... I'm going to go... I'm going to go with it. 8 years. Glass B. Oh, distillery of Glass A. This is so tough. I'm going to say Heaven Hill, but man, it's got this buttery thing I don't know. Glass B, I had already called Jim Beam on this. 10 to 12 years, but a lower proof. It's older. Are these all Heaven Hill? Is the hill why Amy has said get off my lawn? Okay. I'm gonna go Knob Creek 100. 12 year. On Glass B. Glass C. The Glass C tastes dusty. God, I'm too drunk for this. I'm so pissed. I spilled. Guys, I have no idea what this is. Oh, Jesus. Help me. I'm going to skip that. Glass D. I love Glass D. Glass D feels like an Elijah Craig barrel proof. I'll stick with that. But I don't feel like it's a high proof one. I'd say 120. I think my proof is going to be low on these. I think I'm undershooting proof. Glass E is Old Forester. Or Barton. It's so banana. and it's so direct. It's like to the point. Right when you sip it. There's no waiting period for this to reveal itself. You know what? That's Barton. But which Barton product would that be? Foolproof? Oh my God. Amy, my favorite is a toss-up between B and D. D is higher proof, more intense, possibly Elijah Craig barrel proof. But B is kind of balanced and nice. Oh, Clay, thank you for the banner comment. Amy, B and C smell very similar. And I thought C was definitively Heaven Hill earlier. I'm going to go with my previous gut instinct because I'm even drunker now. But all right, I'm going to take a guess at C. I have no idea. All right, I'm going to go by the amount of oak on the whiskeys. Good Lord. Okay, here's what we're going to do. I am going to, let's see. Distillery age proof. I mostly have that. So I'm going to go with the oldest to youngest first. No, I got to go order of preference first. Let's do this. So, my order of preference is B, D, C, A, E. B, D, C, A, E. My order of oldest to youngest is different. It is D, C, B, A, E. And let's just go down the line. Let's go down the line. So, Glass A I think this is low proof. It had a maltiness to me. I said it's 8-year Heaven Hill, but it smells like a dusty Jim. I said it's 8-year Heaven Hill, 94 proof, but it smells like dusty Jim Beam. So what is Glass A? Oh, shit. So I said 94 proof. This is 94.4 proof. So I'll take that. I said it is 8 years. And let me tell you guys what I was between. I was between 8 and 10 years. I said 8, but it's 10. It could be higher because it's Michter's. It's a single barrel of 2017 Michter's, bottled in February at 94.4. But I said there was a maltiness to this, and I stand by that. It's very interesting. All right. Amy, I did not expect that. Glass B. I could not get Jim Beam out of my mind because of the sharpness on this. First I said Baker 7. Well, no, first I said Baker's 13. Then I said Baker 7. Then I said maybe a Knob Creek pick or a Knob Creek 12. I think it's under 120 proof. 107 sounds right, but Baker 7 or 13 does not sound right. 10 to 12 years, I say. I don't know. Wow, really? Makes sense now. So, Remus Gatsby, 15-year, 97.8 proof. The minute that I saw this and I smelled it, it made sense because there is a ton of nuttiness, but it is not peanut. It's almond. And almond is a note that goes to MGP. High-aged MGP is all almond. In the proof, I said 100 proof, and that makes sense. It's 97.8. But it's my confusion was that this was smelling and drinking over its proof, and it does do that. Over its age, which I believe was 10 to 12. And that's why I was confused between like a Knob Creek pick, a Baker's, what year could it be in that portfolio, because I got the nuttiness. And Jim Beam is nutty, but it's not Jim Beam. It's MGP. Proof is low. It's very confusing on this one. Remus Gatsby, 15-year, 97.8. And if I'm slurring my words, you know, it's been a long night. All right, on to Glass C. All right, I said this had to be Heaven Hill. And that was based on the previous glass being Jim Beam in my mind, and it was not that. So I said Heaven Hill, 107 proof. It's probably 100 proof. Based on the comparison, it's probably, let's say Heaven Hill. All right, let's see what it is. 90 proof. Man. Elijah Craig 18, 90 proof. That makes so much sense. But I said it was Heaven Hill, and it is Heaven Hill. Yeah. All right. This makes sense. So I actually guessed that it was over the proof of the last pour, and I was very wrong on that. But Elijah Craig 18, I said Heaven Hill. I did not make... No, I didn't make an age guess on this one. And Amy says, Cam, I think that Michter's is off profile. I have never really liked that bottle. Just okay, but nothing great. And Amy, I had a 2018 Michter's 10-year bourbon, and that one was like strange. It was very off profile, and I also was not a fan of it, but this is very different. It smells like a dusty, almost like a dusty granddad from the 90s. So, I don't know. Okay. On to the next one, Glass D, which I thought could be an Elijah Craig barrel proof, around 120 proof. Not an older bottle, but, you know, let's see what it is. Oh my God. Okay. This is an Old Fitz 19 year. I did not like this bottle when I initially reviewed it. Thought it was too oaky. That intense and distinct oakiness is very hard to pick up in this flight, given the fact that I am this many ports deep, and also given the fact that so many of these are just older whiskeys. You know, Old Fitz 19, I would have never guessed that. 100 proof. I said it was probably 120 proof. I thought this was the oldest whiskey of the bunch. I'm probably right on that once we reveal the next glass. And I thought this was my second favorite whiskey. I actually put... Which one did I put over this? Glass B, which is glass F. I said that the Remus Gatsby, I actually put over this one. Interesting. So, all right. But my review of this whiskey was that it was over oaked. I did not expect that this was that this would only be a 100 proof whiskey in this flight. I would not have expected that. And last but not least, Glass E. I said it was probably Barton. I had no proof, no age. This smells to me like a Sam Houston 14. Let's see what it is. Okay. Sam Houston 15. 15 and 6 months, not 14. I had no proof guess, but I will take that. It smells like a Sam Houston 14. It is a 15 and a half, 103 proof. And I had this in last place in terms of age and in terms of my favorite. So I was very wrong in terms of age because of these whiskeys. Well, hang on. Yeah, this would have been third place in terms of age. But I had it in last. So, Amy, thank you for this flight. This was incredible, although I was a little, intoxicated for guessing all of these attributes of these whiskeys. I apologize. But we're like 3.5 hours in. 3.25 hours in. The oldest was an Old Fitz 19. Glass D. The second oldest, an Elijah Craig 18 in Glass C. And the third oldest in Glass E was a Sam Houston 15 and a half year. The fourth oldest, a Remus Gatsby 15 in Glass B. And finally, the youngest was a Michter's 10-year bourbon 2017 in Glass A. But An incredible flight. Thank you, Amy. Joe says, now do the electric barrel proof flight. No, I think I'm good. Damn. All right. Well, that is going to do it for tonight. I have to get some sleep this evening after this many pours. It's been pretty crazy. Thank you, Amy, for these ridiculous pours. I wish I would have done it a little more sober, to be honest, but you can't change it at this point. I have another Amy ECBP flight to do, and I have Ashton sent me a flight of 5 blind pours, which I'm very excited about. And congrats to the winners of tonight's giveaway. Thank you so much for being here. Bobby H says, fairly new here. What is the process for sending flights? Yeah, just email me. I'll put it in the chat right now. Drums and Drams at gmail.com. There we go. Drums and Drams at gmail.com. Just send me an email, Bobby, and we will get that together. And I will hydrate after this. Thank you so much. Almost 3.5 hours into tonight's stream. And we're going to get out of here. We are going to get out of here. Let me enunciate that better. Cheers. We're out of here. Congrats to the winners of tonight's giveaway. Thank you, Amy, for the blind flights and for tracking all of the super chats. And I will see you guys next Thursday night. Cheers. Thank you so much. And I will see you soon.